pictures in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old-style beers out at the game. Let's go, Cubby, Sunranto.
Michael Cotton.
Sunranto.
Michael Cotton.
Sunranto and the lovable Lucy.
Mucho Scali.
Sunranto.
Michael.
Sunranto.
Cotton.
Sunranto and the lovable Lucy.
Michael Cotton.
Sunranto.
Mucho Scali.
Live and in stereo. Let's say it together. Then we'll be in stereo. Hi, welcome to the Ranter Roundtable. It is the special, way too soon, end of the year 2022 special. We've got a cast of characters coming on, and we got a lot to get through because, boy, what a year it was. But I want to start here by, first of all, introducing my co-host and partner, Michael Cotton, whose lovely strains you just heard ringing through your ears. Well,
Yeah.
Hi. It's already winter in your Wrigley background. Oh, no.
This is the Wrigley winter background right there, folks.
Hello.
The old Wrigley.
Hello, Wrigley, my old friend. I've
is-
come to talk to you again.
This is 377, I believe, because there are seats in center field.
No batter's eye. So I'm Danny Rocket. I'm one of the co-hosts of the Sunranto Show, and this show is brought to you by our 106 Patreon supporters who support us at patreon.com/Sunranto. Thank you so much for bringing the show to everybody all year. Without this, your support, the show does not happen. If you want to become a Patreon patron, you go to patreon.com/Sunranto and you become one. And for as little as $1, you get premium content.
And
that's
look, that number has been pretty steady for a long time, but I did notice there's a little bit of a decline here just recently. So let's bring that back up.
People are hurting, Michael. People are hurting. So
yeah.
All right.
Not
Well,
people like Ricketts.
So yeah, Tom Ricketts, where's your pledge?
Yeah, where's Tom?
Yeah, we bring you on this show. We talk about you on this show all the time, Tom.
People might forget who Tom Ricketts was if we didn't put his name out there all the time.
It's true. Hashtag chance in the chat if you would like to win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of hope and doom. But without further ado, I would like to bring on the show right now, Mr. John Benedict, the Cubs organist, and great friend of mine, incredible musician, just had a hell of a year with you, requesting songs from the crowd. And welcome to the Sunranto Show. And Stuart McVicker, the proprietor of Club 400, who without him, this year would not have been as much fun and interesting, intersecting with lots of different players and having an incredible time at his new condo out in Lake in the Hills at Club 400, the award-winning fan cave. And just what an awesome year. Welcome to the Sunranto Show, you guys. Hi. Hey, Stuart. Hey, John.
Hey, by the way,
Hey.
I will say this. I mean, the whole darn season, right? Johnny B never shows up to the Club 400 condo. I mean, he's there like all the time. Like the keys are outside. He's got the code. The guy hasn't stopped over once. Unbelievable.
Here's the thing, Stu. You gave me the permission because you said there were keys. You gave me the code. Never once did you give me the address. Never once. I'm not going to go knocking on random doors. You gave me the general vicinity, but never once. And I'm like, okay, he doesn't want me to come.
It's true, and there's no sign on the outside.
It does
Seriously. So I'm like,
it does seem like a detail you need to know, don't you think?
yeah.
John,
Maybe that was by design. I don't know. I'm not sure. But John, I told Johnny, like, he does a night game to a day game. Don't go home all the way back to McHenry. Stay over the night. You know?
I know. My sister lives
Lake
in
in the
Albany
Hills. Sorry,
Park,
Johnny.
so-
I know you're at Lake in the Hills. Sorry.
So,
I'm
John,
from
I wanna-
McHenry, that's what-
John, I want to start with you, and I want to thank you for giving my family one of the greatest memories that we're going to cherish forever.
Oh.
And I'm just going to play the tape because I've got it right here. For the podcast listeners, my mom is playing the Wrigley Field organ. She was an organist for years. I'm there with my sister and my cousin. And my mom's jamming now. She used to play at lots of churches. She was an organist at the Catholic Church for years. John, I can't tell you, man. My family is going to watch that forever. It's going to be passed down generation to generation. It'll be like one of those memories. And here's a picture of that day. I saw with Jeremiah in the background.
That's shirt, man.
So I was going to say solid shirt.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Between you and Josh up there, I mean, you guys should have like your own organist calendar that you put out in
we were talking about that because you usually decide who's doing what games. We split it right down the middle, give or take a game if one of us needs to cover. That happened last year, but we usually figure out who's playing when right at the beginning of the season, and I don't see why not. I don't see why we couldn't put it out. Maybe I'll talk to him because people do ask. It doesn't. I mean. The purpose of having is to be seamless, and they're not supposed to it's not supposed to really matter who's up there because we're both giving the soundtrack that we're meant to give. But hey, if people want to know, fine.
Well, even so, like I can always tell who's up there because I know both of you guys, and some of the choices that you guys make are a little bit different of the kind of music you like to play. And I do have that question: is like. How do you decide? Like, are you like laying in bed thinking about like, oh, who's in the lineup tomorrow for the Braves? I got to figure out like what I'm going to do for each guy's song. Is like, is this just like a constant thought process for you where you're just inundated with thoughts of songs that are flying through your head?
I'm in a perpetual state of riffing. It is it's a miserable existence most of the time where I'm just like, I'm driving or I'm at work and a situation happens and I'm like, oh, that song would be great. And I'm like, wait, no, this is real life, John. What are you doing?
Yeah. You see like the old lady walking up to the counter and you like think of her walk up song.
Yeah, no. Or, what was I at yesterday? I was at a red light and, there was a license plate that said that Go Johnny, and I'm just like, oh,
who's Johnny?
Be good.
He said, and he just start playing organ in your
Johnny
head.
Be Good, and I'm just like, Johnny Be Good, and it just like, wait, that just came, and I'm like, whatever.
We got a question from the chat real quick from Corey Furlong. What is one song John wanted to play that he either did not or could not play by using your better judgment?
There are a ton of songs I couldn't the ability. I'm going to stick with that one.
I don't think that's what he meant.
The ability to play. For the longest time, I couldn't play Mr. Blue Sky. It just has a weird progression that, like, for some reason, I just never delved into. I never, tried to figure it out until late this season. And I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty fun song to play. Yeah, I try to refrain from playing songs that are, thematic on the positive side for other teams. I think I stopped playing Sweet Caroline. That was a funny one. Sweet Caroline for the Red Sox because that's their thing.
Yeah,
at Fenway.
You're like, don't be nice to them.
Right.
Well, it's not about being nice. It's just that doesn't belong at Wrigley. That's
right.
There.
Yeah.
Just like they wouldn't play a Steve Goodman song. That just really isn't. That doesn't belong in Boston. That belongs in Chicago. But we kind of played on that this year, and it was tweeted at a couple of times. We only played them twice, so we had to do this quick. The DJ, I gotta give props to the DJs, Brian and Steve and whoever was. I think it was just Brian and Steve those 2 days. They played every song that either had the word Caroline or Sweet in it, other than Sweet Caroline.
Nice.
Or they played every other Neil Diamond song other than Sweet Caroline.
Oh, deep cuts.
Did those two? Oh, it was so funny. And we didn't tease it out. We didn't try to make it too obvious. but people started tweeting like they keep playing stuff just to not play Sweet Caroline. I thought that was fantastic.
That's nice when people are clocking that stuff that you're doing.
That was so good.
And I would have never known you, John, if it wasn't for the day that you filled in for the Bleacher Bum Band when we forgot our bass player's bass. When we were trying to play a little gig at Club 400, I forget the event that you were having, Stuart, but like Stuart, Club 400 has, I think, brought more people together than just about any other place. Like, and I know the Cubs originally brought us together, and then we, I meet people on Twitter and Facebook like that. But you've built something that is like the Cubs played the Field of Dreams game this year. This is an if you build it, they will come situation. So you build it. First guy to come out there is Tom Ricketts to raise money for your friend who was missing, who needed a new leg and a new arm too, right?
2 legs and an arm, yeah.
He needed both 2 legs and an arm.
Correct, right.
All right. So Tom comes out there, raise a bunch of money, make that happen. Since then, how many players have come out there? And just name what we were just this year.
I mean, yeah. Well, this year, we started off. Well, I'll go back because I definitely want to say this. I was thinking about like what I want to talk about but like this year was a remarkable year for Club 400. We're gonna go back to December when we had Patrick Wisdom come out, and as you can see, like with our videos that we're dropping on Club 400, Patrick Wisdom for day one, from the moment he walked into Club 400, has been simply amazing. He's been one of the. I mean, before we had Patrick out, we had over 40 players out. But Patrick got what we're all about. He wanted to be part of the community, and he just he took it to another level. He really did. It's like finally, I've always wanted players to get what we're all about, and we're all about the fans, because none of these guys would have anything if it wasn't for the fans. None of the fans are what makes the ballpark run, and it gives everybody jobs, and like Johnny B and everybody else, and it only happens with the fans, and Wisdom got it, And then
here's a picture from that night. Me and Crawley singing the Patrick Wisdom carols. We had a couple songs in the hole for him, and then we all sang together a whole bunch of tunes, and and that's kind of what it is. It is a party. It's not like an event where like a regular signing where you stand in. We do stand in a little bit of a line, but we do it in your basement, with a pizza slice and a beer in our hand. It's not like when you go to the Sheraton in the basement and they're sitting at a table and there's, fluorescent lights on your head. This is like your home. And I feel like that you make a place that not only the players feel at home, but the fans do too.
I mean, the best thing about Club 400, because Club 400 is evolving every year and there's new things going on and stuff like that. But when I think about it, what's the best thing about Club 400 is the people. And I'm not talking about the ball players. I'm talking about the fans. The family that we have right now through Club 400 is amazing. I met Johnny through Club 400. I met William through Club 400. I met all you guys through Club 400. And I feel like we brought together a community. And, there's nothing like coming to a Club 400 party. I always say I hope it's a win-win situation for everybody, because the great thing about Club 400 is we're not trying to make any money. We're trying to give money back to the fans. Every dollar we make goes back to the fans. Lately, we've been for this past year, we've been focusing on raising money for Club 400, because I can't tell you the amount of requests I get I know a lot of people, so I get a lot of requests, So we're even when we're doing stuff constantly. We're giving stuff out daily, to be honest with you, to different other charities. So yeah, we brought in Nicole, and we started the Honoring Heather program this year, and our first, there we go.
Yeah, I'm putting up a picture for the podcast listeners. It's the Herbie is my hero outing that happened this year, where you took a young man who's suffering pretty severe health problems. He actually has brain cancer. Yeah, and there's Nicole there on the right, and Stu there in the background. I believe that's Herbie's family. And you brought him, and you just gave him like a day and a half where he went to the Obvious Shirt store, and he met Joe, and he met Patrick Wisdom, and Frank the Tank came out. I mean, if there's a video on your YouTube page that everybody should check out. In fact, go subscribe to the Club 400 YouTube page. But yeah, could you tell me about the Honoring Heather program? Stu, we got you?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, we got you. Could you tell me about Honoring Heather and that program? I know
You know what I'll tell you? I think Heather, like we go to Mesa every year, and we hang out there at Sloan Park, and there's an organization called Steve's Dream, and what they do is they bring Cub fans to a game every single day, try to give them a top-notch experience, and they do an unbelievable job. So I didn't copy it off them, but like obviously there's nothing better than going to Wrigley Field. So last year in 2021, Nicole pretty much she wanted to give her friend one last trip to Wrigley Field, Heather, and I got tagged so many times on it I couldn't ignore it. So I reached out to Nicole and I said, hey, yeah, whatever you need, we got you. We'll get Heather to the game. And thanks to a lot of wonderful people behind the scenes, we were able to give her an unbelievable day at Wrigley Field. Wilson Contreras was a part of it. Joe from Obvious Shirts was a part of it. And I'll tell you what, I've written checks out for $65,000, $70,000. That day was a $2,000 day, but it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. And I'm like, man, we need to do more of that, you know? So this year we started the Honoring Heather program, which is basically getting fans to Wrigley Field that think that they can't go, or because of maybe a disability or whatever, or maybe they don't have money to go to the games. So we started a program this year where fans write in like 400 words or less of why someone like nominate a Cubs fan to go to a Cubs game that may need help, whether it be mental health or whatever. And we did 3 of them this year. We started a little bit late, but we started the program in June, and our first one was, I think, was with Herbie, and then we did another one. We did a really quick one, and then we just did one with Brian McIntyre. That you'll see the video coming out in a few weeks. So yeah, it's a great program. You know, we take them to the 1914 club. We take them on the field. We let them meet players. We bring them down in a limousine. They don't have to, they have to worry about anything. They don't have to bring $1, and they're going to get a wonderful, beautiful day at Wrigley Field. And as you guys know, man, there's nothing better than a day at Wrigley Field.
Especially the 1914 club where Herbie could drink all-inclusive cocktails. Give the kid the time of his life. Blake Beard writes in, he says, can we donate tickets to Club 400 to help the cause? Let me tell you, Blake, just give them to me. I'll make sure that they get to where they need to go. Don't worry about it. No, I imagine
that tickets go to die.
Exactly.
We're actually going to start a program like that. Yes, definitely. Right now we're in the middle of revising our website, which was done in 2013. We've come a long way since then. We're going to drop the new website right around the Cubs convention with the new program that we're going to introduce shortly. But yeah, definitely, it'll be all on the website coming in January, right around the Cubs convention. Well, by the way, I know Danny, John, you have never been to a Cubs convention as a Cubs employee, correct?
No, the last time I was there was CubsCon 2019. When I met you, I went with my dad, right. And there's actually a picture of me in the lobby watching Gary.
Oh, I've seen that picture.
That's on the organ. My dad caught it. It was kind of candid because I was just kind of chatting it up with him, and a couple other people were sitting and listening to him play. He was near the end of his shift, so he was kind of just doing the whatever was left in the tank. And
he plays for 60 hours straight that weekend, and he works for only sandwiches. I don't know if you've got the same deal with those guys, but just, Subway, and it's not even the good ones. It's the Subway Club. It's no condiments, no extras, no extra meat.
Yeah, just dry.
Just dry meat, not even toasted.
Not even toasted. Yeah, absolutely not.
You get the option. No.
Well, hopefully they'll have you and Josh out there playing this Cubs convention, because that's back on. And, that's always almost my favorite part when you walk and you haven't heard the organ that long. The baseball organ. You might have heard a church organ or something, but you haven't heard that kind of whimsical, organ playing. And all of a sudden you walk into the Sheridan, and there it is. And it's just like you're back. And then nothing says ballpark like, when Gary was playing the organ for literally 60 hours for only Subway sandwiches.
It was an extension of himself, man. You can't compete with that. He's a total anomaly.
No, John, did you know that they put you, you probably know, I know you're busy focusing on being the organist, but did you know, and I'm putting up for the podcast listeners, John on the big board, and you're there, and you usually play a song. We have to guess what that song is on the board. So now, how paranoid do you get about like your facial hair, or do I have any ear hair? Because that's a big John Benedict that
And
they're
don't
putting
forget
up
about
there.
the love handles, okay?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I know.
pan up, guys.
Stu sends me fat shaming texts after the 4th.
Oh no.
like John, you gotta lay off those wings. And I'm like, the nerve of this guy, of all people, to call me fat.
It's
No,
Chicago. You're
there's a
actually
big-
the thinnest guy in town.
There's a picture I posted a while back with someone who caught me on I think it was Pride Night. I think it was William. Yeah, William's son caught me. He took a picture, and I have like the worst colic on the planet. And I'm usually not too self-conscious about like my image or whatever, because I'm like, I am who I am, whatever. But like, now that I know, I think at the back of my head, and I got this alfalfa sticking out the back.
Look like a reverse coxcomb.
Right. And if you put the picture up again, you notice I got the crew cut with a nice trim top, and the colic isn't there anymore. See, yeah,
You look freshly trimmed there. Yeah,
right. And I make sure the beard from the jawline to jawline is nice. That's just my routine. I shave every day, but the colic is gone, and I make sure it's not there anymore.
Now, you actually went out and got a haircut?
Yeah.
Well, he's got
to.
I
told my barber, I'm like, I don't care what you do, just make sure the colic isn't there.
And and this side more than that side. Like, you could screw up this side all you want, but my right side is it's got to be tight.
He goes, why? And I say, don't worry about it. Just the right side.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Well, now you can expense your haircuts because you're on TV. You can now. I'm seeing
right off.
Now you've made my imagination go wild, which is always dangerous for my friends. But what how about a series of wigs next year, or crazy hats? You go in there one day, you got a big old cloud rainbow wig on. Next day, you look like Cher.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be excellent. Guess the song, but also guess the hair.
Why is he dressed so ridiculous?
Yeah. Well, there goes the wig budget.
Grabbing, don't you think?
I would think
we're supposed to be subtle. We're supposed to kind of be There's a subtlety.
Not my style. Not my style to go subtle. Yeah. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for a freaking really wonderful year. Like, overall, I want to show a few more pictures. Stu, we did Club 400 Palooza this year, and dude, here I am on the rooftop, rocking my guitar, and the Bleacher Bum Band. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's what I'm saying. Like, between you guys, between you letting my mom play the organ and me playing a rooftop across from Wrigley Field, like, just a lot of like bucket list things. I mean, I don't even have a bucket list. Like, I have to create a bucket just to put things in that happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to take things out of my bucket list to give other people ideas of what cool things could happen to them. Because I got bucket listed this year, but like, I got bucketed. But you had Stro out to the house this year.
Show, yeah, it was a great event. May 27th, event benefited Lost Boys. Yeah, I mean,
yep, that's Levante with Stroman there.
Yep.
And for him to come out, and for you guys to link up with Levante after we had done, we met Levante in 2020 with John Baker. And then Levante, who, by the way, is a Sox fan, is now, he's come north. He's like, hey, I'm getting some love. He's gone so far north. He's up in Lake in the Hills. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, well, Sox don't show me any love. So I'm showing up to Cubs games now. And here's also me and Christopher Morel, like, just the opportunity I've had to meet all these players. Patrick Wisdom is nice as anything. Frank Schwindel, nice as anything. We're at freaking the Christmas party last year, and Sammy Sosa calls.
Yeah, that was
in the middle of the party. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Amazing. That would go down to Club 400 history. I gotta say, that party we did with Stroman. I want to thank Stroman HGMH, which is his charity. We did first event we've ever did for Club 400 because Stroman said we want to include Club 400 in this. So a third of it went to Club 400, a third of it went to HCMH, and a third of it went to Lost Boys. So we were very thankful for that, and that was a great event. And then, like you said, we just had Morel out, and next up on the list is definitely the Christmas party. And I think we have our guest booked. I'll just give you a hint. He's not on the Major League roster yet, but he's a top 5 prospect.
If you'd like to take a look at the top 5 prospects, there they are. If you want to guess which one of those 5 it might be.
Yeah.
Bump, bump, bump.
Yeah. So we're going to announce that soon. The only thing we're working out is some details and the date. But we'd love to have you come out for our Christmas party. And John, that's the amazing thing about John. John, I actually, just so you know, buddy, I was thinking about you earlier today. I ordered a Christmas present for you.
That's weird.
Because Johnny's, it's amazing how Johnny got, he's the organist of the Chicago Cubs, how it happened, the whole thing. But, when I was asked about it, someone came to me and they said, hey, can Cubs organ for you? And they wanted like $5,000 for it. I'm like, no, we don't need an organ. And then he was about ready to put it on the market. He called me one more time and he's like, you sure you don't want this organ? I think it belongs to Wrigley Field. And to make a deal on that organ, then they meet Johnny through William. Then Johnny puts his tape together at Club 400. Now he's playing at Wrigley Field. And now we get Johnny, who has never charged me $1, kind of like you, Danny, and who is a big part of Cubs fans, helping Cub fans, Club 400. He makes the event so much special. And when he creates the ambience of Wrigley Field at Club 400, and you're hearing an organ that was used in Wrigley Field by the organist of the Chicago Cubs today.
And I use Gary's preset.
What's that?
And I use Gary's preset.
Oh, really?
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yeah. No, and it is surreal. And I have to make sure I always have that moment. It's very easy to kind of let this job become work. And I have to consciously decide. I have to realize what I'm doing, who I'm following, who Josh and I have seceded. And it helps when I'm either at Wrigley and I just kind of look up and take a couple seconds to look around, see the ivy, see everybody there. And whether it's a night or a day game, both are equally as, magnificent to me. And I'm like, holy shnikes, I'm playing at Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
And then when I'm at Club 400, you look up and you see Gary Pressey's signature and his little message and the years that organ was there. I'm like, this was at Wrigley. This was here for the entire career of Sosa.
Yeah.
This was here for the summer of '98. This was here for 03. There's magnitude and gravity with this stuff.
Yeah.
And
you're a part of it, and you're a part of it, but you're also
even
Johnny
in the
B.
most minuscule way. You're
Sure.
yeah, and I'm a sliver in the span of time that this ballpark has been a part of people's lives. But the fact that I'm included in this, the fact that the Cubs took me on is, I'll never get over that ever.
Yeah.
The Cubs mean everything to me. I grew up a Cubs fan. It isn't just a job. This is I'm a fan who was hired, and now I have a job to do as a fan, but I'm still a fan.
Don't tell them that too much.
Right.
They'll be
Right.
Well,
You see what they've done to us. They've never given us a dime.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go that way.
They'll be like, all right, well, $50 a ticket, minus your salary. They start charging you for your seat. They're like, hey, this is an upper deck box seat. This is worth, a premium game, $80-$90. So, well, I've loved every second. Not every second of the baseball of the year, but I've loved every second of hanging out with you guys. And it certainly wasn't as terrible as it might have been baseball wise. And hell, we were talking with Miguel Esparza, who I know you guys are both close with. Johnny, you work with him every single day.
Yeah, I love him.
And he's for those that don't know, he's the Spanish language broadcaster for the team. And I was talking with him at your house at your new Club 400 Wrigleyville. And I said, you know what? For a mediocre season, I certainly had a hell of a time. This was the most fun under 500 Cubs season I think that could exist.
All right.
You know what, Danny? I think you're right. It's because we've been doing this since the last under 500 season, and the community didn't exist back then for us, and now it's here, and it's like it's a way to be able to weather the worst of the
Cope.
things. Yeah.
John, I'm going to drop your Instagram in the chat right now. So if you're not following John Benedict on Instagram, you should be, because you're posting a lot of stuff on there. Also on TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you got check out this guy's followers. He makes us look like rookies, man.
I know. That's the youth, and that's the beauty of you, Johnny, is because you're going to be around as long as Gary. You know, knock on wood.
I'm a fetus compared to you guys. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I'm old enough to be your dad. You know, so like I'm looking at you as your whole generation behind, and so you could be here. You could be the last organist. So in my whole lifetime, I might have just had, well, and count you and Josh too together, but I might have only had 3 total organists in my whole life. Or maybe Nancy Faust I could count too. Because when did Gary start? 80s, right?
87.
Okay, so I was 13.
Yeah, by the time you started clocking,
it was 86. Yeah, 86.
So I'm also going to drop club400cubs.com, that website in the chat. So please go visit that so you can keep abreast on all of the goings on for this next year. We're going to take a quick break, and I want to show
real quick before we jump out of here. Stuart, I got to go to the Club 400 Wrigleyville this weekend. That was awesome. Thank you so much for having me there. And I was really surprised. That's the first Club 400 lager that I've had.
Oh yeah.
And I will tell you, I generally don't like lagers. That was a good goddamn beer, and I just can't wait to have some more of them. Holy crap, that was good.
Michael, I told you that day you come out. You know, I know you stayed at Danny's over the, last weekend, but you ever need a place to stay, man, you're welcome, dude. Your family, like us, I'm so glad to get to see you and hang out with us. I mean, John actually gets first dibs. No, just kidding.
Well, and John, we have a request.
Why did you follow it up with just kidding?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey,
Mom, what was that?
Hey, John, we do have a request in the chat for you for next season, so you got plenty of time to work on this song.
Okay.
Carrie E wants you. She wants to request "Rock the Casbah" next time St. Louis is in town, and if you do, you will have the left field bleachers singing right along with you.
Yeah, rock the Casbah. Yeah, we love that song. Rock
the Casbah. Yeah, we're
big
I will Clash fans.
I will say this: Josh Langhoff has done that song.
Oh yes, okay.
I'm just saying, you guys got to pay attention, man.
Yeah, we do.
The dude was and is a music journalist.
Yeah.
His music library is insane.
I would love to have you. You know what? We're going to do that this off season. We're going to have you and Josh on at the same time. And we're going to do like a whole talking music show and have a great time. And there's a music
He'll sweep me under the rug.
Well, I mean, we're not going to have to do trivia, but we can do dueling piano.
Okay, fine.
So I'm going to play just a quick 3-minute video for Club 400 Palooza. Just so you can kind of see the fun we had on that rooftop that day. It's freaking incredible.
Great.
Yeah, this is on YouTube as well, but I'm going to play it here right now. And when we come back, we're going to have Infield Fly Girl join us. We're going to go through some Cub stats still to come. We're expecting Joe Kilgallen at some point, but he said he's having some issues with transportation right now. And either way, I've got a video with him talking about Hologram Harry, which I'd like to share with everybody because it's freaking funny. Cody Del Mendo from Chuggo is going to be on. Dom, the director of Morale, Alex Pat from the Bill Swirsky Sports Talk. Easy for me to say. Sarah Sanchez from Cup of Cubby Blue, Captain Cubbo, my tie guy, and a real live Reds fan who we spanked their team today. He'll be on. Very funny guy who you know, Billy DeVore. So thank you guys both. I'll see you this winter. Hopefully it won't be too long before we all hang out again and play some music and party with the Cubs and freaking enjoy each other's company.
Oh,
Cubs
December
culture
17th.
never ends, man.
We want you guys out there with us doing Cubs carols.
Tom Warman is getting married this weekend on Saturday, and Tom's one of the greatest memorabilia collectors in Chicago. He knows everybody, so looking forward to seeing him this weekend. Johnny, would love to go out for wings for you soon. I'm going to get you the grilled ones, not the fried. Okay.
900 feet away from my apartment is the best wings in Chicago. I'm telling you.
They are. But thank you guys for having us on. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll be right back.
I can't turn it off once I turn it on. There's no stopping me once I get going. Put a can in my hand, man, I'm wide ass open. The tick-tock of that clock is like a time bomb. By 10:30, I'm 10:30 tipsy.
Because of the motto, the Cubs fan helping Cubs fans. I think it means more than just putting on the pinstripes and wearing the uniform out there. You're representing a generational fan base, which is truly amazing, and it's just awesome to play in front of.
Now, I've never been the kind to quit, won't stop till I get to the bottom of this, and the night's still young. So what you say we shotgun one?
You know, you walk along the streets and the fans know who you are, they know your family. They're with you whether you win or you lose, and just to have, you know, that support and that love and, you know, showing that they impact our lives just as much as we impact theirs, I think goes a long way.
Not only an outstanding baseball player, but he's an outstanding person. Let's give a big Club 400 welcome to Patrick Wisdom, everybody. Thank you.
Happy to be here and play in Wrigley and play alongside these teammates that we have in this clubhouse that we have. The city of Chicago is always behind you, and you can't beat it, honestly. It's been amazing.
There's no stopping me once I get to go and put a can in my hand, man, I'm wide ass open. The tick-tock of that clock is like a time bomb. Yeah, my 10:30, I'm 10:30 tipsy. And 11:45, man, I done had plenty. The countdown's on when the first beer hits me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, too many.
You know, it's just awesome that the community can come together and rally around the Cubs, and then we can also provide awareness for charities and pick up people when they need lifting up. So, you know, Cubs fan helping Cubs fans, I'm all about it.
Welcome back to the Ranter Roundtable, and welcome to the Ranter Roundtable. IFG and Field Fly Girl in the hizzy.
Hi,
Hey,
hi
Pasha.
everybody.
Hey, what's up, IFG? The Mariners' good luck charm, apparently.
Yes, I'm 15-2 this year. So
Oh, nice. Well, so when are you moving to Chicago? Because we need that kind of mojo over here, if you will.
gosh, please. I would love to, honestly.
So
We'll see what the future holds.
So I've got to ask you, we were kind of just talking about, like, despite the year that this team has had, under 500, it certainly was a good time, was it not? And you seem to agree with that sentiment in the chat, especially considering it was your first trip to Wrigley.
It was awesome, man. It's my 24th year as a Cubs fan and my first time going home. So it was amazing. I was able to do 4 games in 3 days. I had a day-night doubleheader at Wrigley Field. I got to do the off-day tour. I got to hang out with you and Sarah and my Thai guy and Bleacher Jeff, and it was an incredible experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things. It's like it's the old win or lose, we booze kind of mentality, which
Absolutely.
but it's a little bit frightening, I think, for Cubs fans to think this way, because, like, at the end of the show, I'm going to be debuting it's an old song, Cup Snake Guy from the Bleacher Bum Band, but I took a bunch of the pictures of the Cup Snake people that I've taken over the course of the year, and I put them in this video, including 2 videos of me chopping the snakes in half. So in this video, and there's a lot. There are so many cups of beer being stacked, thousands and thousands across left field, right field. And it's just like the crowd is packed. We're having an awesome time. The team's under 500. So I think the fear is that there's going to be just not the, I don't know, impetus, the motivation for the owners to move on really signing players, especially if you can have fun prospects like Morel and guys like that. So where do you see that? Where do you see this off season? They said they'd spend.
I hate speculation because I'm not very good at it. But
me too.
Yeah, I know. I've got like 3 oil wells just doing nothing.
I just feel like, we all know that the actual profits are so far disconnected from individual fan spending to be almost meaningless. Like there's no one-to-one, like I'm going to stop watching the Cubs and then they're going to be sad because they've lost all of my money. There would have to be I think years before it would actually hurt anything. So I don't know. I think I'm here to have fun. I don't want to I don't want to make myself miserable because the billionaires who own the team don't want to spend money. I'm going to have fun going to the baseball game no matter what, because I have a limited amount of time on this earth in which to watch baseball games.
And the players aren't the problem, and they're always out there playing as hard as they can, and there's always somebody to find
every
on the
time
field to at least sort of get behind and hope that they do well. So
I am wearing my PJ Higgins jersey right now.
Yeah, well, and there's been quite a few. I'm going to put up just the Cubs offense the year. You mentioned PJ Higgins. I've got all the players separated by OPS here. Higgins ends up in the middle of the pack here, 693
so proud.
OPS. Ends up with, let's see, what am I looking? 6 home runs, even hit a triple. He's playing catcher. He's playing third base. He's playing third base. He's playing first base. He ends up, for a backup catcher, first base, third base utility kind of that kind of guy, he did pretty well. You look at PJ Higgins and somebody like that on the periphery of the roster, and the fact that Wilson Contreras seems to be on his way out unless he takes some kind of qualifying offer. Where do you see the catcher situation there? Is this like a Gomes Higgins platoon next year? Or do they,
oh my
God,
we
gotta talk about Wilson. That's the elephant in the room. And I'm going to ask this of everybody.
Sure. It's so difficult. I, of course, want them to keep Wilson forever. The reality is there's a really good chance that that's not going to happen. Can PJ and I don't think I'm terribly happy with either of them being a primary, honestly.
It's like having 2 backups as your catchers.
Yeah, we would have to go buy somebody. I don't know who's available.
Well,
and I'll tell you, Christian Vasquez.
Here they are. Here's your catchers that are going to be
Christian Vasquez.
Yeah, it's pretty old. It's an older crew, and here they are listed by FWAR. Wilson, of course, with the highest FWAR at 5.3, but he is 31 years old. And then from there, it's Mike Zunino, Omar Narvaez, Gary Sanchez, Christian Vasquez, who's only worth 1.6 WAR, is also 31 years old, obviously cheaper than Wilson would be. And then Molina's retiring. He's in this list, though. Tucker, Barnhart. And now you're getting into under sub 1 WAR guys. So I don't know. Everything's a downgrade is pretty much what you're looking at.
Right. Yeah. And it's which downgrade is the most favorable. And, in my heart of hearts, I want Christian Vasquez to go back to the Red Sox because he's happy there.
Let's trade in this Cadillac for a Ford.
Exactly. If you're going to get rid of the Cadillac, and I would much rather not get rid of the Cadillac, please let me keep my Cadillac. But if I have to get rid of the Cadillac, I would rather get the Ford than a scooter.
Right.
So
you're gonna get, unfortunately, the Ford is actually Higgins and Gomes is the scooter. We got a 693 OPS with Higgins and a 625 OPS for Gomes. So
And
it's
that's fine,
actually
but is PJ going to carry, 90 games?
Well, and also this is replacing a Wilson Gutierrez who led the team in OPS and home runs.
Right.
So,
Which means that you need to
no, not
add
home runs.
huge
No,
offense somewhere
Wisdom.
else.
Wisdom had 25. Contreras had 22.
Well,
yeah.
still, I mean, you have to get those 22 home runs somewhere else, so
Somewhere
you
else.
have to add offense somewhere.
Yeah,
Buy me a
because
really big bat for a third baseman. I mean,
right, and then you're talking about that. Like, do you trust is Wisdom the answer there? Because he pretty much only plays third, maybe first. Like, there's a lot of moving parts of this offense, and I feel like any part of it could be upgraded at any given time.
well, you can definitely, upgrade a 35% strikeout rate. I adore Patrick Wisdom, but
Yeah. He does hit, he hits some towering, beautiful homers, but even though batting average is an antiquated, stupid stat these days, it needs to be better than the 207 that he hit. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and you look at that. I'm going to put it up there again. The offense here. You look at somebody like Franmil Reyes, and you're like, sure, okay. I mean, 5 home runs isn't enough for a 234 average, though, and it's just like they all do the one thing, but they don't do it all. Like, there's nobody that's hitting for average and power. But the only people that are like that are on their way out.
Yep.
Wilson and Happ. And so you're like, well, how much are you going to reset this? You're hoping Seiya Suzuki with a healthier year next year is definitely, a bigger part of the offensive situation, but you don't necessarily need him to be, your main offensive, juggernaut. You need something else. I want to bring somebody into this conversation who's looked at this team all year, been talking about it all year, all over the brand new CHGO, or as we call it on this show, Chuggo. It's just faster and more expedient. Sorry, Cody. You're never
we
going to
grab the beer and we say Chuggo.
We say Chuggo and we drink. Yeah.
No,
So,
you're not the only one, Danny. I think I said that last time you had me on.
I know. Well, partly the reason they do that is my fault because I won't
You
shut
just,
up. Yeah.
It's time to lean into it. That's all. That's all I have to say.
We definitely embrace it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, welcome, Cody. Everybody, this is Cody, IFG, Infield Fly Girl Cody, and you were on the last Ranter Roundtable, and we talked about kind of where you saw this team going, and I think that was before the trade deadline, and I think we were all blindsided by that, and so still remaining on this team is the number one offensive player on the team, Wilson Gutierrez. Ian Happ, number 2, pretty much in that category. So now where do you see this going from here? I mean, a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people don't want to look at, a lot of more pessimistic people want to, don't want to take a lot of what happened the second half into what could happen next year. I totally get that because the roster, at least we hope, will be a lot different next year. But for guys like Contreras, around here, Luke and Ryan especially think he's probably not going to return. I'm holding out some hope just because, I'd probably think a little bit differently if Miguel Amaya was healthy and been playing more games, and Moises Ballesteros really took a big jump in the minors this year, top 20 prospect in the Cubs system now, but he was in Myrtle Beach this year, so you're probably at least another couple years away. So
and that's if everything goes perfect, because we don't. A lot of these guys that we get excited about in Myrtle Beach never make it to Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were really hoping, if you look at Miguel Amaya now on the 16th on this list anyway, and he was hurt a bunch this year. Then he got hurt again. And so, that just all sets a guy back. And so, I'm sure they were hoping that he was going to be just like, okay, Wilson's out. Here comes Amaya. And then you got Ballesteros behind that. And, we'll supplement with this and that here and there with your Yan Gomes and PJ Higgins of the world. But that doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
What will happen now? Here's what I think is going to
Yep.
happen, and just as I look at my tea leaves, he's going to take the qualifying offer.
Yeah.
And, and we're gonna say goodbye to him 17 more times next season. And it's just like the whole season, just us clapping. It was like, how many more times do we have to do this? And Wilson's on the field with his hat in the air, and we're like, God damn it, it's enough.
Right. Well, you know,
just play the last one.
It's weird how this season has gone for me because, like, at the beginning of the year, I was all aboard the extend Wilson Contreras, like that should be your number one priority. And now it's more of like my fourth or fifth priority for the Cubs this offseason.
So what are your priorities on top of that? Well, I mean, obviously we're not going to odds are we won't sign him. So was it a matter of once you resigned yourself, then you found other things to look at, or did other things actually get more important than re-signing
we've
Wilson?
seen other players play, and we've seen debuts from other guys. I mean, no one thought Christopher Morel was going to be what he is, and Hayden Wesneski has been very fun to watch. And like to me, he's kind of, I know it's a very small sample size, but he's kind of, convinced me maybe he could be bottom of the rotation type guy to start his career. Maybe the ceiling is higher as his career goes on, but like a lot of those guys. And then on top of the fact that there's been a lot of rumors all season about how the Cubs are going to spin. And I know you guys, like, I know you don't want to believe it until you see it, but even if Ken Rosenthal,
we want to believe it. We
would love to believe it. We would just love any reason to believe it.
Right. If Ken Rosenthal is saying that the Cubs are going to spin, then I mean, I'll have a little bit more hope than a lot of people will. So I'm just saying that, like, you look at this roster right now and you see what Yan Gomes did on the defensive side, at least, in helping all these young pitchers out. I'm not saying he should be your starting catcher, but he's definitely got a solid role as your backup. If the Cubs go get a Correa or Bogarts or Trey Turner and, sign a starting pitcher or something, add some depth, and then you incorporate, Brennan Davis next year and a few, just do some of these other things. I think I can get past Contreras not being on this roster just based off his age. And I don't know if he'll have a better season than he had this year. And he got hurt again in the second half. That's something that has happened like almost every year of his career. To me, I'd rather, if you want me to tell them how to spend money, I would rather them spend money on the things I just said, rather than giving him like a 5-year extension. Like, and
I see now I'm going to have to disagree with you here. Okay. Because Wilson Contreras is a great athlete. And just because he is a catcher right now, there is no reason that a 5-year contract would ever go bad with him, because if he can't catch for some reason, he can easily move to first base or third base, which was his original position, or the outfield. I mean, he is a very versatile player. You will never run your contract is never going to go bad with him. And if all else fails, I am going to throw up a little bit in my mouth. DH.
Say it.
DH. Yeah, it's
Say it out loud.
It's a real thing, Michael. The ship has sailed. There's a DH.
But I fucking hate it. I would look. Even keeping Wilson Contreras won't make me like the fucking DH. It's a garbage fucking position. And but if that is part of the league, then I don't see an argument for not paying for a player like Wilson Contreras. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
For me, it's a lot of the intangibles too, what he brings to the team. Like we saw what he did with Morel, like getting him to hit that home run that one time by just telling him to breathe. Like the dude's up there like Miyagi, freaking Morel whispering. And it's just like, it's tough to give that up.
I mean, he's part of the brickwork at this point. He's been here forever.
Yeah.
There's an entire young generation of Cubs fans who has never known the Chicago Cubs without Wilson Contreras.
Yeah,
for sure. No, again, I'm not saying that I don't want him. I just when you look at how well the team played in the second half, I mean, he wasn't that big a part of it. And so the thought process that you guys are having related to him is probably more just as an overview more than like what I'm seeing, what I saw in the second half. And again, if you want to take the second half with a grain of salt, that's fine. I just, I really thought that you got to see a lot of guys emerge as trying to find a role for next year. I mean,
regardless of how many guys emerge, you're still taking the best player on the team and getting rid of him. I mean, think about any other team in the league. Would you tell them to get rid of their best player?
Well, I mean, I think Ian Happ's the best player on the team personally, but
they're close as far as like offensively. If you look up their numbers right there, it's like, Wilson with a little bit more pop, Happ with all the doubles though, and that's pretty valuable. So he slugs it just as much as Wilson does. And, he played in more games, but that's also, left field versus catcher. He played in 40 more games. So, I mean, that's quite valuable. You take 160 more at bats, that's also quite valuable.
I will say this, guys, if they don't even extend him the qualifying offer, then we shall riot. Like, that will be a massive, massive screw up from this front office for not just trading him at the deadline. Because if they don't extend him the qualifying offer, then they won't even get the comp pick back if he doesn't take it. You know what I mean?
And the rumor is they don't like him. I mean, that's been out there for everybody knows that that's the rumor. I don't think anybody has any specifics.
That doesn't mean they don't like him as a person. It's more of like just his style as a catcher. I think they want to go more defensive on the catching side. Most teams that have won the World Series in recent years have a defensive-minded catcher. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. That's nothing against him. And yeah, like what you guys were saying, like, yeah, you can move him to first base. Yeah, you could give him use him at DH. Maybe, if you want to try and get him acclimated in the outfield in a way. It's just like there's a lot of guys there, like Matt.
He's already played in the outfield. I mean, we've seen him out there.
Yeah, I've seen him out there, and the great arm. I remember, I think it was in Pittsburgh, right? Like 2019 or something like that.
Dude, talk about great arm.
Yeah.
I was at the game on Sunday, and he comes out and he starts playing long toss, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, he starts moving back, and I'm watching him throw, and there's no arc to his throw. It's just a frozen rope, right? Further and further back, frozen rope. And then he goes all the way. So we're in left field. The guy he's playing catch with about 20 feet from the track. He goes all the way to the wall on the right field line and starts throwing baseballs 10 rows deep into the bleachers.
Just for fans, yeah.
I've never seen
killing fans. No, he literally killed 4 fans that day.
And people were taking the fans home and mounting them on their wall, getting them signed and shit. They're like, I got a fan that Wilson killed. They were so excited to have a dead person.
Game killed fans. It's a new thing. So,
but it was amazing. That arm, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's move off Wilson for a moment, just because I have a feeling he's going to come up a little bit later when Sarah Sanchez comes on the show. Considering
I can't imagine she'd want to talk about him.
But again, I just want to say that I'm not against bringing him back. It's just not my top priority. I just think the Cubs have found some guys, and if you insert a few of these free agents, maybe, and then then after that, then you can figure that out. I just, I think that they really need to go get themselves a middle infielder that can pair with Nico Horner and a starting pitcher for sure. I think those are bigger. I think that's a bigger issue than Contreras, because I don't think the market for Contreras.
What's your 30-second answer for where you're getting those catcher innings from next year?
Again, it would be someone. Obviously, it would be someone else. Is that
one of these guys?
He definitely would have to get someone else.
I'll take an Omar. Give me Omar.
Answer. It'll be someone else.
Yeah, it'll be someone else.
But different guy.
Yeah.
Well, you could say we could say that we heard it here first from you, Cody. That it'll be those innings.
I don't know who.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to bring the director of morale on to join the conversation. I want to start with just real. If you can hang with us, Cody, a little bit longer, and then and I want to talk about maybe some starting pitching. And I know everybody wants a little upgrade. I might want to talk about the Cubs starters, and also just kind of like the state of Cubs fandom with the master of morale. But we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All over Chicagoland, there are thirsty, frazzled, overworked Cubs podcasters who are struggling to survive one more baseball season in the dog-eat-dog world of unpaid content creation. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. Become a super ranter at patreon.com/sunranto, where your support ensures that poor, sad, pathetic, ugly, loser Cubs podcasters can pay for tickets and beer, and in turn line the pockets of the baseball oligarch Ricketts family. Just $1 a month can buy a scorecard. $5 a month can pay for guitar strings to write a Cubs song. And $10 a month almost buys one beer at Wrigley Field. Cubs content creators are the lowest pieces of pond scum garbage that slither over the face of this planet. But super ranters help them get drunk and screw off at baseball games. What do you get out of it? The Sun Ranto Show delivered to your podcatcher without stupid advertisements like the one you're seeing and hearing right now. Plus, at other Super Ranter levels, you can get Cubs music, access to private Sun Ranto pages, the Ranter calendar, and special thanks and Ranter recognition in our live broadcasts. Plus, eligibility for monthly prizes. What does Sun Ranto get out of it? Your money. For tickets and beer. Go to patreon.com/sunranto. That's patreon.com/sunranto. And become a super ranter today. And once again, this Ranter Roundtable is being brought to you by our 106, actually 107 Patreon supporters. Michael, your impassioned plea got somebody to jump on right at the beginning of the show. He was one of our lapsed subscribers too.
Nice. Thank you for coming back.
It was Michael Cantor. It was Michael Cantor.
Welcome back to Wrigley.
Yeah. He must, his credit card probably got canceled, something like that. So we're going to bring on Mr. Morale. Dom, can you hear us? Frederick, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. What's
Hi,
up?
welcome back. Welcome back to the Sun Ranto Show. You know Cody. We've been on the Twitter Spaces. Me, Cody. I think IFG was on there maybe once or twice. You've been hosting these Twitter Spaces, and I tell you, I really enjoy them.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a good time. So let me ask you, what is the state of, you think, morale of the Cubs fandom right now? The attendance is a little down. I got some numbers on that. It's Michael, you had something on this, right? The sellouts, there was no sellouts at all.
There were, yeah, because one of our questions in the preseason was over under sellouts at Wrigley this year at 0.5, and they did not go over.
Yeah, so no sellouts. And overall, the attendance, I believe, was 11th.
Yeah, so yeah, I went and I looked real quick. The overall attendance, they were 11th in the league with 2,616,000. Average at home was 32,300. So that was 77% of capacity overall for.
Well, and those numbers are bullshit because that's not who's in those parks. Like they announced 22,000 the other day, there were 11,000 there. You know, it's just like, you know, that's maybe the tickets they sold. We're seeing like them blow through the season ticket holder list. Like everybody's number is up now. They're doing all this. They're pulling out the stops.
Up.
They called me the other
Don't
day.
do it. Don't do it.
So Danny, I was interested in that a little bit, and I wanted to see what this season would rank. Like, when's the last time we had this low a number? Obviously not counting 21 or 20 because that wasn't enough games. I had to go back to 2014 and it was 2,652,000. It was actually still better, and I was surprised by that. So 2014 was the last like real bad year, and they still had more fans, and so and then they added seats since then.
Yeah, there's more seats now too.
So then I started looking. I'm like, wow, when's the last time they were worse than this? I couldn't find it because it only has numbers from this century. So in the 2000s, all of them, this is the worst season for attendance for the Chicago Cubs.
I think Megan Montemurro from the Tribune tweeted something about how it's the lowest since 1997.
Wow.
Something
That's
like
wild.
that. Tweeted it like a few days ago. We talked about it on the podcast a little bit.
So Dom, how's morale? What are you thinking? I mean, what do those numbers say to you? And you know, and from the eyeball test of what you're seeing in the crowd, because I've seen two different things. I'm seeing
Kind
Cub
of
snakes.
breaking up. Yeah, no.
So we got you. I think we're losing you.
No. Yeah, you're kind of breaking up. Let me see if I can change my wire. Hear me better now? Maybe.
Yeah, you're sounding a little bit better.
Danny?
Just keep. Yeah, we got you.
Or we don't.
Yeah, there's the radio
Podcast gold.
Podcast gold. Yeah, once
At
again.
least the people watching on YouTube can look at our four gorgeous faces during the
Yeah,
silence.
Just waiting for the director of morale.
All four of us.
Can you hear me now?
Well, yes, we got you.
All right. No, I was going to say this is a tale of two seasons, really. I mean, you have the beginning of the year where obviously, I mean, many Cubs fans knew that this was going to be a tough season, but we didn't think it would be as tough as it was leading into it. We would hope that we would have, you know, somewhat important games being played in June and July before the trade deadline. Obviously, that didn't happen, and I'm not saying they totally, corrected things and fixed all the wrongs by the front office at the beginning of the year. But obviously, when you have a young pitching staff that showed up like they did, and David Ross keeping everything together, and Nico Horner having a fantastic season, and Seiya finishing strong, I think morale's pretty good. It's better than when the last time we talked. Now, there's a lot of things that have to be answered. Obviously, free agency is going to be enormous. This offseason is going to be enormous. But I just look at this season split into two. And now that we're on the back half of it, now that we pretty much accepted what this season was, hopefully we're going to springboard ourselves into a fantastic offseason and hopefully into a competitive 2023. At least that's the standard I'm going to hold this team to.
Well, I'll put up some team win-loss splits here, and this does not include today because Baseball Reference doesn't like. I guess they just don't do it. They have about a 24-hour delay on that, but they have 37 and 44 at home and on the road. So they were equally under 500 on the road. There's nothing to look at there. So overall 74 and 88. But you look at that's August of 15 and 15, and this is all after the trade deadline in the September of 16 and 11, where you're just kind of picking it up without that just horrendous June and April. I mean, you can't throw that stuff away, but you're still kind of putting the team together at those times. Like they didn't really Morel didn't even come up till May, so it's like, and this is a team that had Andrelton Simmons on it at kind of, I mean, Ildemaro Vargas was a unfortunately big part of this team at some point, and then you kind of switch those guys around for different names and it seemed to work. So you didn't even figure out who your hot hand was in the end. So so what does this team need? Like Cody, you talked about your priorities here. Upgrading at least from the offense at one of the positions to replace something like a Wilson, if not add to Wilson. And then on the other side of it, as top end starter. And that's kind of where I want to talk to you guys about it. We saw a lot of guys emerge this year, but you're going to need to slot it back. We don't know what's happening with Hendricks. Here's who's available. I'm putting up the list here. This is by WAR. Some of them are opt-out situations and club options. But is there anybody on this list that you're thinking about that would do exactly that and slot all our young guys back? Dom, I'll
Yeah, I
start with you.
mean, Danny, we have to shop at the top of the market. There's no excuses otherwise. I mean, this team and this young starting pitching staff, granted, they had a fantastic September and October. Wisniewski was a big part of that. Obviously, Justin Steele's been hurt, but we saw what he did throughout the season. They need a frontline guy. They need a John Lester type. Again, I'm not trying to totally run it back with what we did in 2015 and try to make all the same moves like for nostalgia purposes, but you need a John Lester type signing, and I think it starts with the starting pitching. When you have your overall pitching staff, ranked 27th in FWAR throughout the year, that's the first place you go to. And obviously they need bats. I mean, everybody knows that. It's going to be a huge offseason, but you need a frontline guy that can take the pressure off Justin Steele, Wisniewski if he's in the starting rotation. You don't know what's going to happen with Killian. Keegan Thompson, is he a swingman? Is he a starter? And then what's happening with Hendrick? So while we did, have some promise at the end of the year, it has to be bolstered by a frontline guy. Yeah, it'd be fantastic if it was Jacob deGrom. It would be great if it was Carlos Rodon. Obviously, he doesn't have the same cachet as deGrom, but we got to be at the top of the market. We can't be trying to find bottom feeder deals like we have been over the last couple of years.
And those guys, both the guys you just mentioned, both have to opt out in order to even be available. So, Cody, do you see anybody that's just a straight sign that on this list, or is there anybody?
Sean Manaea has been someone that I've eyed. To be honest, I haven't watched a ton of him, but whenever you're talking about guys who were definitely going to be free agents, and I expect Rodon to opt out, but the way you asked the question, Manaea is one of those other guys who I don't think will. I mean, deGrom and Rodon are going to demand a lot of money, and Manaea, he's proven to be a very solid major league starter for multiple years. I mean, I know I said they need a frontline starter, a guy, but I'm also when I think about how the Cubs could spend, I'd also be okay if they got a guy like Manaea and then invested more money on offense. And Dom referenced how they did things in 2014 going into what was the golden era. How did they build the system? They had a bunch of position players and then they bought the pitching. Well, it's kind of the opposite now. They have a lot of pitching. And I know that the season was bad, but they got a guy like Hayden Wesneski who I think has a high upside. And so maybe this time around the Cubs invest more money on offense than on the pitching. But that said, they need to go get a starter. It would put them a much higher team if they get a guy like Rodon or deGrom. But say those guys don't opt out, then you're kind of like, well, all right, Sean Manaea, I think that would be a very solid arm.
Well, even with deGrom or Rodon, I think there's a lot more questions than, there's not a John Lester in this group really. Maybe an Aaron Nola, but that's a club option. It's never happening. So there's nobody like that in this group. And if you get a choice between deGrom and Rodon, you're literally flipping a coin because you don't know how they're going to hold up. But I would take Rodon over. I actually think Rodon is a little bit more durable than.
But he also has the speed, and that's the one thing the Cubs have always been lacking. They're all this like pitch to contact stuff. But I'm still not
exactly happy about their options, really.
No, it's not a great class for pitching. It just
there's not a slam dunk on there.
But
how funny would it be? How funny would it be if they brought Quintana back?
Well, he had a hell of an end of the year, but it won't be good for us. That'll never.
I would laugh so hard I'd cry.
Yeah, but
I would not laugh. I would probably scream and yell a lot. It's already bad enough he's in St. Louis and he's like at the end of a bounce back year that we've been waiting for like 2 years.
Well, he's going to be on the mound when they win the World Series, so just get ready for that. Cody.
Oh, I know, Danny. I know. I'm preparing myself. I know.
Yeah. Are you ready to be hurt again
this offseason? Hate watching so hard this October.
Yeah, exactly. It's all it's going to be. We should just get together over at Nisei Lounge and just hate watch the Cardinals games. IFG, I want to ask you about one more pitcher.
Yeah.
Kodai, because you watch a lot of Asian baseball played in Asia. But people, and Crawley brought him up, and I believe we've talked about it a little bit. Kodai
Yeah.
Senga, a
Yes,
pitcher from
Senga.
Japan, and this guy's like a super stud. He is more of your like John Lester type that has that kind of pedigree, at least in Japan. How do you think that would transfer over?
He's, I very openly, I mostly box score watch Japanese baseball. I know a lot more about the Taiwanese league than I do the Japanese league. So there are other people you can ask that know way, way more about Senga than I do. But what I do know is he is a really solid, well-respected guy. He's got a career ERA of like 2.5 or something like that. Like,
Oh, he's been a total stud. Yeah.
absolute stud. He is
Career
bananas
ERA of
insane. We are
2.42.
afraid of him. You hear that it's Senga Day and you're like, crap, it's Senga Day. Like, he's that guy.
Like Jake Day, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
10
It's-
strikeouts per 9 versus 0.6 home runs per 9. 3.4 walks per 9. I mean, that would just cost you money. And I guess there's something
And
that you don't have to do the posting thing.
Yeah,
and all
so
that
the
stuff
cool thing,
either.
so like when we signed Seiya, there was the money that we have to pay Seiya, and then there's the money that we had to pay the team because they were losing Seiya. Right? So
Yeah.
it's that posting fee. The
This is not
SoftBank
that.
Hawks, which is it's the team that Senga's on. It's the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. They just don't participate in that posting system. Just as a rule, they just don't. It's beneath them or something. So there's no posting fee to get Senga. He is a free agent. He can sign where he wants to, and if he chooses us, then yay. And I think we want him.
Yeah, and it would be great to have another Japanese player on the team because
Absolutely.
I mean, well, number one, somebody to hang out with, for Seiya to hang out with, but also you're bringing a guy in and he would have a couple of people there to, help show him the ropes, unlike, what Seiya had to do kind of by himself,
Yeah.
which is really, really hard. And by the way, Danny, I loved what you said earlier. And my fantasy baseball team next year is going to be called Japanese John Lester.
I think that's a terrible name, but yeah,
I'm pretty well.
working on it.
Danny, I mean,
you got all
explain to us John Lester's position in Japanese history, please.
Oh yeah, this is a throwback. Michael, nobody knows what you're talking about. I did explain the history of Japan to my friend earlier. This is Tatsuya, my friend Tatsuya, drinking his first shot of Malort. I'll just play it real quick.
Banzai.
As you can see, he absolutely loved it. This is
Buffalo Bill there.
Put the lotion on in the basket. But Dom, before we lose you here, I wanted to bring up one of my favorite tweets about the Milwaukee Brewers that you tweeted on April 9th. You were early on this. You tweeted in all caps, "Let me relay the message for people confused about the Milwaukee Brewers. They have nothing, no championships, no history. Chicago owns their stadium, and they give away free tickets for buying a tank of gas or a $5 footlong. Christian Yelich is cursed. Please reread if you need clarification." 2,172 likes at last.
Danny,
meeting.
it hasn't changed. It hasn't
Awesome.
changed. It's been exactly the same. I think
Yeah.
it's 58 years running. Listen, I know they had a better season. I know they beat us by 11 games, whatever it was, but they continuously have nothing. They are an absolute joke of a franchise. They're a team who, when the years where the Cubs are literally, pissing it down the toilet because they didn't want to compete, they're out here trading their best reliever. Literally when they're in first place and they totally cough it up to the Cardinals and don't even make it into the playoffs. Christian Yelich, listen, if you haven't given in by now to the fact that he's cursed, I don't know what to tell you. He's totally fallen off the map ever since he decided to tweet that about Yu Darvish, that no one needed help facing him. He told me to my face in Milwaukee that he would put on the bad news shirt. He never did. That's why the curse lives on. That's why over 300 games now, he's a league average player. And I actually think, I truly believe this, I think his contract will be worse than Jason Hayward. I truly believe that. Because he's not as good a defender as Jason. And listen, he's getting older. The bat, he can't just keep doing this thing where he's hitting singles. After a while, it's going to catch up to him. And listen, there's $156 million left on his deal. I think it could be worse than Jason Hayward, and that's saying something.
Yeah, and they can't. And I mean, given that they're giving away tickets for sandwiches, it's good luck, making up that money because
Danny, they give away tickets for $5 footlongs. They give away tickets for a tank of gas. They give away tickets for opening a new bank account for some place in Wisconsin. They give away new tickets for buying windshield wiper fluid at your local gas station. It's an absolute joke, and I swear to God, if anyone says otherwise, and if any Milwaukee Brewers fans wants to come up at me and says, "Oh no, Dom, the Cubs," no. You guys are an absolute disgrace and a joke to Major League Baseball.
Dom, you say this like it's a bad thing, but it sounds to me like the Brewers are keeping the entire state running. I mean, without the Brewers giving away tickets, nobody's going to the bank, nobody's going to the gas station, they're not going to Subway.
Right. You're right, but it's really like the the shots that the Brewers take at the Cubs all the time, right? About not having a roof over the stadium. Like, who the hell cares? It's a goddamn baseball game. Or the fact that we don't have a parking lot by our feet. Like, who the hell cares? Sir, like these types of stuff, when you, again, shelling out, Subway footlongs for tickets, it's an absolute joke.
Well, I actually gave tickets to Subway and got a footlong once.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. You can trade in Brewers tickets.
You can do that with Brewers tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I buy Brewers tickets every time I'm heading to Subway.
And I don't know why, but on social media, they love to remind everyone about Game 163 in 2018, like it's the World Series. And it's that explains it all, man.
Danny, I cannot wait for someone to tweet out the fifth place in the wild card in 2022 banner that they're going to hang over home plate to make sure everyone's aware of how the season went. 86 wins or whatever, how many ever wins they have. It will be up there, I swear to God.
I said on the podcast yesterday that the Brewers missing the playoffs was like my NLCS win for this year for me personally. Now I need the Cardinals to lose to the Phillies or whoever, and that'll be my World Series.
Yeah, who are the Cardinals playing? I'll put up
the Phillies.
Phillies. They got the Phillies.
I need Kyle Schwarber to launch.
Kyle, come through for us.
Yeah.
I need Kyle Schwarber to foul a ball back and break Yachty's hip.
Oh, that's a good one too. I'd take that.
Violet.
I would take that too.
Most overrated athlete in professional sports. Don't get me started about that, Danny.
Yeah, I know. Then we have to hear about Jason Kendall again.
Same career war, Danny. And lower games played for Jason Kendall. We don't see Jason Kendall getting, full-on parade at Wrigley Field, which was a disgrace, by the way. We don't see Jason Kendall being talked about as, first ballot Hall of Famer with his friend Albert Pujols. Absolute disgrace.
Yeah. No, that I did find that disgusting how they honored those guys at Wrigley. That can't happen. It's like,
can't happen.
It's just Danny, we trolled ourselves.
Listen, what made me mad is that they almost camouflaged it by giving to charity, which is great. I'm not knocking that. I think it's fantastic that they donated to each of the players' respective charities. It's just the fact that they kind of wrapped it all together, and now we're setting a precedent that any rival that we have for 20 years, we have to throw a parade at Wrigley Field. I just don't like it. You're not throwing a parade for Aaron Rodgers at Soldier Field. It's just not going to happen. It didn't happen for Brett Favre. It's just, again, I don't like it.
Hey,
some things.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, you can respect your opponent, but you don't have to give them a hug and say they're the best thing of all time. It just doesn't need to happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm still angry about it.
It's the fucking dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Fireable offense.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
instead,
whoever's made that decision. Yeah.
well, it's probably Crane Kenny, and instead they're putting him in the Hall of Fame. So, nobody learned anything, unfortunately.
I know.
They do that, and then they still can't put Sammy in the Cubs Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, he broke a radio.
They
Broke a
they haven't
radio,
given
yeah,
Sammy a piece of the scoreboard yet, and
Yeah.
they gave one to
No,
fucking
it's a
Pujols
joke.
and Yachty.
It's a joke,
Yeah.
and I've deleted probably, or I've typed out and then deleted tweets in my draft over the last 2 weeks about, I know Aaron Judge is on a roll. He hit 62 last night, but I've been wanting to tweet about Sammy. I'm going to give Aaron Judge his time, but just the fact that he's been literally treated like an outcast, and we don't even talk about it anymore, and Cubs fans can't even see him at the Federal Landmark is a joke.
Well, they're trying to bring him back. I know some people kind of trying to work on that right now. It's not been easy, as nothing with Sammy Sosa is ever easy. It seems. Just as where I'll leave that, as a concept.
Danny, and you don't have to give away all the information. And I know Sammy has an ego, and deservedly so. He literally saved Major League Baseball from going in the tank. Regardless, how can it be so hard? Hey, Sammy, let's have a Sammy day. Hey, Sammy, you want to throw out the first pitch? Hey, Sammy, you want to sit behind home plate? Hey, you want to sit behind the dugout? What do you want to do? You want to sing the stretch a couple times? How hard can it be? There obviously has to be some, some overconfidence or some ego coming from the Cubs themselves and obviously the Ricketts family that's holding something up. And I'm not negating what you're saying, but how hard can it be?
Yeah, well, I'm not even talking about the Cubs trying to bring him back. I'm talking about other people trying to bring him back and how difficult that is.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure the Cubs could probably figure it out. They have billions of dollars, and I mean, the guy could show up for one autograph signing and live for the rest of his life. Is kind of how that works,
Yeah.
Well, I want to drop some links in the chat for both of you guys real quick. Here's Morale Supply Company. I see you've got some new merch up, Dom. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. This is
Thank you, Danny. Yeah, we put out a new sweater tonight. If you want to check it out, the store has pretty much been open with most of our stuff that's in there. So, yeah, check it out, moralesupplygo.com. I appreciate you mentioning it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You guys got some great stuff. And also I have a link to the Chuggo podcast, which you guys are CHGO. Sorry, I was
again, it's fine.
Yeah, look, chug. Everybody drink.
Chuggo!
See how fun it is?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you know what? The CHGO
People be getting drunk watching your podcast.
I listened to obviously the Cubs stuff with Cody, but the Bears stuff with my guy Greg Braggs after the game. After every game, it's been fantastic. They do a fantastic job.
Cody, Brendan,
Harm, it's great.
Yeah, thank you, Dom. I appreciate that. Yeah, our Bear show. As much as I wish the Cubs show was taken off, I'm just being honest. Like, the Bears run the city, so it gets the most views. Our YouTube channel has just hit 20,000 subscribers within the last month, and I think a large part of it is because of the Bears. Now, if they'd actually be good, we'd really take off. But,
exactly.
We
deserve better.
Yeah, I mean, what do you call it? We have a couple Cub shirts you can get if you go to allchgo.com. You can get other shirts related to the other shows and other teams in the city as well.
I just dropped the link in the chat for your website, so that people can poke around there and see what's going on. But I thank you guys both for coming on. It's This is part of what I said at the beginning of the year. Like, for such a disappointing record for a Cubs season, for as frustrating as this season was, I got to know a lot of you guys a lot better, and we had a good time talking about the Cubs. And I'm like,
for sure,
and it just was kind of fun.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to apologize for that.
Absolutely, Danny. We'll have to have you in studio this off season. We're going to have a lot of guests because even though the season's over, we're still doing shows 5 days a week.
Bleacher Bump Band, have us in.
Yeah,
we'll play a whole concert.
We got to get Bleacher Jeff in to really, really break down the whole taking of the seat thing. I don't know if anyone ever listened to that one that we did, but we did a whole breakdown of how Cubs Twitter was reacting to Bleacher Jeff, someone stealing his seat in left field.
Oh yeah, I can guarantee that he does not want to come on your show and talk about that day. but I'll come out and make fun of it.
Someone's gotta,
Like, I'll come on and
gotta
tell you
spread
exactly
the
what
tea,
happened.
man. Someone's got to spread the tea. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, that was an unfortunate day for all involved, I believe.
Yeah,
but
it was honestly the biggest story of the year. If we're being honest, it was the biggest story of the season.
It might have been
that was talked about for a week.
If
To-
I would
well,
say, if
to
it
tell
wasn't
the
the
truth-
biggest story of the season, it was like at least for a good week. It was like all anything with anyone.
I would actually say it is the biggest story of the season because it launched Bleacher Jeff into the consciousness, and after that, people started to realize like
He ended up
Hap
on-
started talking about him, and
Everybody
he started catching baseballs out there, homers and stuff. And next thing you know, you got Shambi, mentioning him on the show. Like it all, I really feel like it all came from him and that dude from Iowa who wouldn't get out of the rain.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes tragedy can breed success.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you guys both. I'm looking forward to next year. I mean, I didn't feel like I would be, but I am.
Yeah.
and you guys are a big part of it.
I will tell you, we were walking up to the game on Sunday, and Danny like walking out by his house, and we're walking, it's like a mile. And Danny's walking, and he's kind of like, oh God, I'm so tired. This has been such a long season, so hard. Oh man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And then like as soon as we get to Wrigley, we walk up the stairs and he's like, I fucking love this. Like, I can't believe it's the last day. And I'm like, dude, you just fucking went 180.
Yeah. Wrigley will do that to
It
you.
keeps bringing you back. Bringing you back.
Well, you saw that freaking Captain Cubbo showed up with a giant beer snake hand.
Oh gosh, I love that.
Yeah, look at this thing. So I'm like chopping cup snakes out there in the bleachers. And, so like this revitalized me. A guy shows up, a superhero shows up with a giant hand for you to chop snakes with. And like, yeah, that's going to
You were
solid
revitalized
booty.
well before that. Just to walk over there. You started out rough and then you ended like a little kid going into the thing. And I loved it.
So, well, thank you guys for coming on. We'll definitely have to catch a game in the bleachers next year. We're going to go to
Absolutely.
commercial break, and then we're going to bring on Pat and Sarah Sanchez and IFG. I know I said that you didn't have to stay the whole time, but you can stick around if you'd like.
I would love to.
All right, well, let's do that. But I'll let Cody and Dom go because I told you guys I would. So,
Shout out to Alex.
Those two had a hard out. They're like, I'm not doing this on
this
this.
show.
Yeah. So, all right, peace, guys. I'll see you on the
Thanks,
stations.
guys.
I'll see you at the ballpark, and I'll see you this winter, hopefully sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
guys.
Cubs convention, it's back.
Hey,
Oh, baby.
Cubs Christmas carols, December 17th.
yeah.
And yeah, Cubs Christmas caroling December 17th. So there's another plug for that. All right, so we'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
This is a Cubs fan buying tickets from the Cubs. And this is a Cubs fan buying tickets through the StubHub link at sunranto.com/StubHub, knowing that 4% of their ticket purchase will go to the Sunranto show instead of into the pockets of rich corporate douchebags. Buy all your tickets through sunranto.com/StubHub. Don't worry, it won't cost you a single penny extra. It don't stink to click our link. This is an Amazon shopper buying things from Amazon. And this is an Amazon shopper buying things through the links at sunranto.com/Amazon, knowing that up to 10% of their purchase will go to the Sunranto show instead of that cocksucker Jeff Bezos, who will just use the money to go to space. Plus, if you buy all your Amazon items through sunranto.com/Amazon, you could win a monthly prize. Sunranto.com/StubHub and sunranto.com/Amazon. Two great ways to support the Sunranto show while sticking it to evil corporations who suck. And it won't cost you a single penny. It don't stink to click our link.
Welcome back to the Sunranto show, and welcome to the Ranter Roundtable. Sarah Sanchez from Cup of Cubby Blue and Bleed Cubby Blue, and Alex Pat from Swirsky Sports. I have such trouble saying it.
Swirsky Sports Talk.
Swirsky
Chicago.
It's like when we had Steve Cishek on the team. I never could manage his name either. It was terrible. So, well, welcome you guys. And I'm going to start here because Alex, Pat, you tweeted this on April 10th. And you said, and yet I still liked how the Cubs battled with the B lineup. So did you like how the rest of the B lineups went this year, or were you, or did you like how is that a tweet for maybe the season that I like how the Cubs battled with the B lineup?
Well, you could kind of apply it to the second half because you look at even the past few weeks where guys were out. You had a point where Nico Horner was out. You had a point where Wilson Contreras was out. And, they still battled. Even if they weren't scoring 6, 7, 8 runs a game, they were battling enough to help win games. And you know that some of these guys that were playing over the past few weeks are not going to be with the team going forward. But when you watch the way that they battled, even if they didn't always win because they just weren't talented enough to compete with other teams, the way they battled, I think, speaks for how David Ross has run the ship here. It's very easy to kind of throw in a towel. It's very easy to be kind of demoralized looking at the standings. You got to love being motivated by double birds there. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Absolutely.
I mean, hey, since those double birds, I feel like he's managed better. I mean, all he needed to do to unlock really taking a step forward as manager was saying, hey, Jock Peterson, here's to you.
Well, I have an idea for these double birds, and that is like to make a clock out of it. So you could have like David Ross, giving the finger, like just to tell you the time, it just goes to midnight. We could replace the Wrigley clock with that. Now, Sarah Sanchez is on the show. I also have an old tweet of hers, and she said in the chat, oh God, you have old tweets. And I just looked at specifically tweets from opening weekend just to see kind of where we all were in our thoughts. And this is something you said. You said this high contact Cubs team just manufacturing runs against Brandon Woodruff. Fire. You love to see it. And you also said, I've never needed anything less as a Cubs fan than a national writer, MLB Network type telling me I should be over last year's trade deadline so I could get excited about the new Cubs players.
Okay, but seriously.
I stand by both of those. So the contact thing, they did a nice job against Brandon Woodruff. They actually are kind of a high contact group. There's a lot of guys making contact with the physical baseball. Now, problem is that they become a lot of ground.
You really broke that down.
A lot of double plays, a lot of outs on the bases. But I don't know. I actually think that this forebodes well for them with the new shift rules. They put the ball in play a lot, and I like that. As for what was the other one that you put on there?
The first one was that's manufacturing runs. That's the high contact. The other one was about being over last year's trade deadline to get excited about new players. But are you excited?
Definitely still not over it.
But are you
excited about most of the new players? I mean, Christopher Morel is great, and I really like Seiya Suzuki.
Here's a new player that Alex Pat was not excited about and probably still isn't. He said, only 3 games in, I'm not going to pile on him too much yet, but it would be nice if Madrigal could start hitting soon.
That was
never happened.
162 games in.
Yeah, so, I mean,
let's talk periphery. The Cubs have 83 second basemen. As of next year, they'll have no catcher. You can upgrade at pretty much any single position you have except possibly right field. Seiya Suzuki's gonna be out there. That's what we're gonna have. And so, when you're looking at this team right now, I know, Sarah, you want Contreras back for probably the next 83 years, if possible, take over for Ross eventually, Oh,
I very much want that, but it's not going to happen. So I'm just preparing myself mentally to go with Wilson wherever he goes.
82 years then. Okay.
the old 82-year
84
manager
years, yeah.
contract. But what's on your wish list? We've heard a lot of just we need a big bat and a pitcher. Where does that come from?
I would re-sign Wilson Contreras. Obviously, they're not going to, but I would. I would add a lefty power bat at first base. I think that it is ridiculous that this team, like, I think the team leader in home runs was Patrick Wisdom with like 25 or 26.
25.
I mean, this is just
25.
not, that's ridiculous. That shouldn't be a thing. And I would, at this point, I'm kind of like, I actually think Nico Horner is a pretty good shortstop. I look at the defensive metrics, and Nico Horner is in like the top tier of all of these guys. He's at least as good as Dansby Swanson. I think he's a better defender than Xander Bogaerts. I watch a lot of Red Sox games, and Xander Bogaerts isn't exactly known for his glove at shortstop. I'm kind of like, unless they get Trey Turner, I don't really know.
But they
that
need
I'm convinced
somebody.
any of those guys would be an
Who's
upgrade
at
at
the
shortstop.
top?
But the other guy can play second.
Who's at
So
the
yeah,
top?
I
of
want
your
to. I
list?
want a middle infielder type, and I want a lefty power bat, and I want them to re-sign my favorite player of all time, who's behind me on that.
So you want three things? Three and probably a pitcher too.
I didn't. I was just doing position players. Yes, I would also like a starting pitcher who throws over 95 miles an hour consistently.
Alex,
Please.
what's at the top of your list?
Well, you just mentioned a pitcher that throws very hard. I know he's a risk, but I've been a very pro Carlos Rodon type of guy. I think he's the type of guy that you could bring in here and you say, okay, you got a power lefty arm right there. You also have Justin Steele. Imagine having kind of like a two-headed monster of lefties that can throw hard, that have nasty sliders. And this year, Carlos Rodon stayed healthy, which is hopefully a good sign for the future, because staying healthy was one thing he just couldn't do with the White Sox. So if he stays healthy in the future, I think it would be worth a gamble. Also, Sarah, you mentioned lefty power. That's really, really important. And I don't know how much we can rely on him, but I am hoping that Matt Mervis is a solution to that, because if you watch his highlights in AAA and with him throughout the minors the whole year, his power is ridiculous. I mean, he absolutely kills the baseball. Now, of course, that's more of a gamble because he's a prospect and he hasn't played at the major league level yet. But I think that if there's the potential there, then maybe that is one of your solutions. Now, people talk about the infielder free agents, the shortstop free agents. I'm a big Trey Turner guy. What I really like about Trey Turner is that he gives you a balance of a little bit of everything. You look at the way he can hit for power. He has 20 home run power. He also has great speed. To have great speed like that and be able to hit for the power that he does and the average that he does, gets on base, he brings everything you need to the table. It would be awesome to have a guy where you could say, you know what? If you want to sock it out of the ballpark, sock it out of the ballpark. If you want to just get on with a single and steal a base or two, steal a base or two. Those are kind of what I want at the very top. I wouldn't say no to Carlos Correa if that situation came up too, but that's kind of where I'm looking at right now. And I think there's going to be those moments in the offseason where we pick up guys that aren't necessarily big name guys, but you fill in depth here or there. You fill in a spot that might not be as big a need, but we know what this team needs. More power arms. You can never have enough of those. We need more power bats, lefty and righty. You mentioned Patrick Wisdom, 25 home runs. Good for you, but you need more than that if you're going to be a contending team. So I'd say let the Cubs sign some free agents.
Contreras is number 2 in home runs, by the way.
Yes.
So if you lose those 22 homers,
you're done.
I'm going to bring Crawley into this conversation and ask the same question. Hey, Crawley. Well,
What's
Crawley.
up? What's going on? How's everyone doing? Hey, man, long time no see for most of you.
Yeah, right. What was it? I don't know. It was all a blur. This weekend was a giant blur. But I'm going to ask you the same question. Top of your list.
There's no doubt it's Correa is the top of my list. I just want some guy with some pop, somebody that's gonna knock it out. And I think I don't want to sit. The thing that Alex was talking about with Matt Mervis, I just don't want to put all that pressure on that kid. If you can just get something to if you can do something to kind of do some sort of platoon work, something out where it's not like Matt Mervis or bust. I think if you do that, I think that's going to be a huge disservice to Mervis, and it's just not. I don't think it's going to work out.
I'm sorry. The service to Mervis was too good. I giggled.
Yeah, that's the new obvious shirt. Is disservice to Mervis.
Well,
there we go.
Not a shirt that would sell very well, I think.
Was that the not obvious shirts? What did we have going for a while?
That's the one that they send. That they send to Ricketts after he fucks Mervis up. Disservice to Mervis.
Disservice to Mervis. Sarah, you were going to jump in and say something right before if you remember what you were going to say.
Yeah, the Wilson Contreras thing, pointing out that he is responsible for 22 of the home runs that the Cubs have right now, and he's the second most home runs on the team, is important. I think that I was talking about this over the weekend, but a lot of teams have defense first catchers right now, and they have just sort of like written off that part of the offense. The Cubs have not. The Cubs will feel the lack of an offense first catcher because they've had one for 6 years. It's sort of like if we're runners and you run a 6-minute mile and I run a 10-minute mile and I drop down to a 9-minute mile, that's good for me. But if you go up to a 9-minute mile, that's bad for you. Like that is going to be the Cubs losing offense, a catcher, and replacing Wilson Contreras with some combination of Yan Gomes and PJ Higgins.
Yeah, and you got to replace it somewhere else. And I think that's what you're saying is everybody's saying, well, go get that shortstop that'll get you 20 bombs. Then you get the 20 bombs out of that situation. But it seems like you have to upgrade other places. I mean,
right. And when they don't want to spend on, Omar Narvaez next year and they end up with Austin Hedges instead, you're still losing those 20 home runs.
And a spark plug of the team.
Absolutely.
I personally think they're going to give him the qualifying offer. He's going to end up taking it, and we're going to say goodbye to Wilson Contreras 5 more times. I already said that tonight, and that's, I think, what's going to happen.
I think Wilson's got one shot at a multi-year contract that's going to give him 4 or 5. It may not be what he wants, which is JT Real Muto money, but this is his big shot to really do something that'll give him, lifelong guaranteed, pretty good wealth to last him for the rest of his life. He's got really, I think, one shot.
So you're saying he goes into the Hall of Fame as a Cardinal. Gotcha. So,
I mean, he deserves to get paid. And if the Cubs aren't going to do it, somebody should.
Get your money, Wilson.
Yep. Shake the money out of their pockets.
Yeah. He's not like it's.
I will cry.
He's not 27 or 28, and then he's going to have another bite at the apple like Correa. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't see that happening. I don't see him. If he takes the qualifying offer, something went really, really wrong in free agency.
I don't think he gets that decision though, right? Like, don't you have to accept the qualifying offer before he can hit the market?
Yeah.
It's not he either accepts or rejects the qualifying offer, not knowing what the market is, theoretically at least.
Unless somebody just signs him, right?
No.
Nobody.
The signing window doesn't open.
I got you. Yeah.
There's a deadline to accept or reject the qualifying. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we're at hour 2 of the show.
I mean, it's theoretically possible
and Danny,
he would come
and
back
Danny's
to the
not
Cubs and be
drinking
like,
yet.
hey, are you interested in signing me for $19.5 million for a 1 year? You know what I mean? Like that could happen and it would be functionally the same.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So if he turns it down, but then that's it. The Cubs are just done. They get a draft pick. If he signs somewhere else, they get a draft pick.
And they could theoretically try to negotiate with him, but why would they? Like, I think that's why I've sort of resigned myself to the fact that Wilson Contreras is going somewhere else. I'm praying that it's not St. Louis because that would be by far the most difficult for me. But I feel like a good, weird potential match would be if the Red Sox signed Wilson Contreras because they don't have a catcher either.
You're
and the
only
Cubs could go
saying that
after
because that's
the
your
Cubs
other
could go
team.
the Cubs could go after Christian Vasquez, who I really like, who is a slightly less offensively impactful catcher than Wilson Contreras, but is a better defensive catcher than Wilson Contreras. And I feel like he is the best catcher on the market that I would want if I were the Cubs. And I am not just saying that because it's my other favorite team. I'm saying that because I've watched a lot of Christian Vasquez, and I think there's a match made here somewhere.
No, I'm saying you want Wilson to go to the Red Sox because then it'll be just an easy transfer for you.
I mean,
but look.
I appreciate that it will make things better for me.
I mentioned Christian Vasquez earlier. He is my choice for our next catcher if we have to go pick somebody off the market. And how fun would it be if we got Xander too? I mean, like, just as
why
far
not?
as
I'll take those. I like Xander.
See, the thing is, you're competing against all the other teams, of course, but so hopefully you can. I mean, but why not? If you're willing to spend and I'm hoping they swoop in right away and before as soon as the season's like dead and gone, boom, swoop in and be one of those teams that like signs guys right away because it seems like. Just go get what you want. Don't drag your feet and do all this crap. And
while we're signing Red Sox, bring Rich Hill home too.
Oh God.
That's Rich
no,
Hill.
no. I still haven't forgiven him for throwing that God, it was to Chris Young, game 3 of the NLDS in 2007. He throws a meatball to Chris Young, and I haven't even sat down in my damn seat and had a first sip of beer, and the Cubs are down 1-0.
It was the very first pitch, wasn't it?
Very first pitch. Absolutely
Yep.
right. Yeah, very first pitch. Rich Hill.
I was
2007.
watching that in a
D-backs.
pizza joint.
To be fair, the Cubs have been chasing Rich Hill for the last 4
No
years.
interest in Rich Hill, but
They
I will
just keep signing Rich
I love
Hills.
him.
You know, when we talked about when Sarah was talking about replacing the power, I mean, that's what got, one thing that got screwed up is, Frank Schwindel, I don't know what he would have hit, but he came to spring training with a bad back. It never got good, and you had zero power from your first base position, nothing. That just absolutely killed you. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, I don't know of a great option. Maybe Jose Abreu comes over, but even he didn't pop a lot this year. You know what I mean? So,
and we're
The
hoping
Cubs had zero power from first base, zero power from shortstop, zero power from center field.
And zero
Let's
power
put this in perspective.
and
Second
DH,
base.
zero power from DH.
Zero power from DH.
Sorry, hold on. Hold
Half
on.
of the power of DH was Wilson Contreras.
Wait a second. Zero power
First base,
from second base.
shortstop, outfield, DH. Who did we get rid of this year?
Yeah, exactly.
So-
All those guys.
Well, that's
but also
another-
second base.
that is another.
I
If
feel
you
like you
look
missed
at,
that one. Who did we have there hitting for power?
let's pick it. Why don't we pick up Matt Carpenter? What do you think?
oh God.
Oh, no.
I'd
Mayo
rather eat
salsa,
I'd
no.
rather eat a
I was
salsa.
gonna say if he brings his salsa,
No,
we'll get him
absolutely
just.
Okay.
We'll get
Vogie
him
can
just to
technically
cater the
play
games.
first base.
No.
There
We
is
have the
no-
salsa
what
king of
is this?
Chicago. He's in every Jules there is now. So Marty Garcia, best salsa in Chicago exists. We got it. We don't.
There
need
is not another salsa on the regular market that has the steroids that his does.
No, not the salsa king.
So I'd like to bring in a couple more. I say we go full on CNN. We're going Brady Bunch. Well, almost Brady Bunch. We're going 8 heads. We're bringing Captain Cubbo. Captain Cubbo, you're muted. We're bringing
That's
in.
funny, Danny, because people call me 8 head sometimes.
Well,
Can I make
your
one
hairline.
point about this designated hitter thing? Because frankly, the 6th best designated hitter with at least 250 plate appearances was Wilson Contreras. So if everybody wants to go out we need a designated hitter, the Cubs had one. He was playing catcher for them, which is why it's going to be such a substantial drop off when they go out and try to sign Christian Vasquez, who I like, and say Christian Vasquez is the new Wilson Contreras when he clearly is not.
Sarah, we talked about this out in the bleachers, and I brought it up earlier on the show before you were on. Yes, he is the answer to a lot of different positions, most importantly catcher, but his
Also first
contract
base.
won't go bad because you can move him all over the place.
Yeah. So I'd like to welcome to the show Captain Cubbo in his mild-mannered reporter costume. Well, you got a Captain Cubbo hat and a lot of memorabilia behind him. Welcome Roberto Ramos and Billy DeVore, a Reds fan. Well,
Yay!
actually, what is that hat? Oh, it's a Mariners hat.
Mariners,
'Cause
go
all
Reds.
all the Reds are on the Mariners now. So
He's a Submariner fan.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mariners play in Tacoma.
Billy, sorry, but we gave you loss number 100 today. Quite the thrashing or the drubbing, as Zach
Yeah.
Cademan would say.
Dude, I'm just happy to be a part of a 100 loss season. It's pretty cool. I think this is only the 3rd time it's happened in our franchise's history. So I get to be a part of milestones, albeit low ones.
Didn't they tie with Pittsburgh?
Well, welcome to the club. We all experienced 100 last season a couple of years ago. It was, so welcome, Billy.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. It worked out for you guys in the long run.
So
yeah, I mean, our ownership and front office did tell us it was going to happen before it happened, and then they said it'll get better. I think your ownership said, where else you gonna go?
Well, thank God that was just the COO and not the CEO. So that's good. The guy who's supposed
Too
to
many
talk.
vowels and alphabets.
Yeah,
there.
see the finals. They did tie for last place in the weakest division in baseball. But we now us Cub fans, we still had a good time. I know everybody here caught at least 1 or 2 games in the ballpark today. We're running around Captain Cubbo's in full costume and regalia, getting on marquee. Crawley's running around like Crawley's in the 1914 club. He's in the suites. He's throwing him a Stroman event. Sarah's on. We got another podcast. Alex got a podcast. IFG's following all the way from the Pacific Northwest. Sees our first Cubs game. Michael's there this weekend. This is what Cubs fandom does. Billy, what do the Reds got going? I mean, after everybody told you that, or your front office tells you it's not worth seeing, did they still show up? Do you have anything close to this kind of posse?
Absolutely not. The closest thing that we have going on to this is that Bengals season is happening. That's about it.
The Bengals?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
And then FC Cincinnati is about to make the playoffs. So, I mean, they went other places. They found other things to do. Just like
You
stay
are
home.
literally wearing a Mariners hat.
Yeah,
I've had this, to be fair. But
he's like, I'm not a bandwagon guy. To be fair,
I got sweat stains in here. Yeah, I have, and it's very well broken in.
It is a great hat, by the way.
I took a look at the attendance. I looked at the attendance for the game today. It says 12,437. Would you say they're overestimating that a little bit? Because I was trying to count on TV and didn't look like no 12,000.
No, I would say there was maybe 12.
Right. 12, like 1,012 instead of 12,000.
Just 12.
There were some good crowds this weekend, though.
Yeah, a lot of blue. So
I just want to give a shout out to bandwagon fans because I think all of us are about to become postseason bandwagon fans. And cheers to my beloved Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun series. I'm very excited. I'm just excited to see competitive baseball where people want to play. It's very nice to see.
Novelty.
It is. But the Reds just hit an attendance low. They haven't had this few attendees since 1982, excluding the pandemic year. So what are you going to do? Stay home.
Well, and the same is true of the Cubs. This is the lowest, although we've all been in attendance there. And this is kind of the point I was going to, like, I mean, the Cubs attendance is down. So like, Alex, do you can see that as like a reason that they would maybe look at that and see that they've blown through the season ticket holder list and put the pedal to the metal and give us some new guys to cheer for?
Well, the thing with being the Cubs is that that no matter what, you're still going to draw better than the average team. I mean, just playing at Wrigley Field and whatnot. That being said, I mean, it was the lowest attended, not counting the pandemic season, since 1997. 1997 was the year before the big steroids home run race, and then that happened, and everyone is like, oh, this is fun, this is awesome, let's go to the ballpark again. So, I mean, I think there's definitely an incentive for them to get better so more people will come. I mean, it's expensive to go to Wrigley Field compared to other teams, but if the team's good, people are willing to go. We see this in the city. The city is typically more expensive than many other markets for all the teams. And when they're good, they'll go no matter what the price. So, yeah, I do think that there is some incentive to get better here, to bring that up closer to 3 million, because, I did a little calculation from 98 to 2019. The average attendance for the Cubs was like just under 3 million. And one year that they didn't draw 3 million was in 2015. That's because they were redoing the bleachers. And the other 2 seasons they didn't draw 3 million. Well, that was the rebuilding years of Theo, 2012, 2013. So, of course it was going to drop. But what happened? They got good and more people went. So I think if they're better next year and they show that they're trying to win, I think they'll get back up close to that 3 million mark. If they end up being great, then I think they can catch that 3 million mark. And remember, too, they have expanded the seating capacity a little bit over the past few years. So if they're selling out those games, then that's even a little more people going through the turnstiles.
Alex, just to jump on that a little bit, the other thing that didn't happen pre-World Series is having the marquee network. And I've been saying this forever, is it's going to push the Cubs to have to field better teams because you have that network that you're relying on to bring in more revenue. You can't roll out a crap team, expect people to watch that and get anything more than Prevagen commercials. If you want to start getting bigger marketing, bigger advertising, you have to have a team that people want to watch.
I only watch because of those commercials. What are you talking about?
I'm going to pitch a Captain Cubbo cartoon for
for
the
kids.
Marquee Network. Every Saturday morning, Captain Cubbo comes on and he teaches the kids about eating their vitamins and taking naps. I don't know.
And how to have a sweet Hummer. Exactly.
I will tell you though that for the first time ever, the Cubs are going to broadcast Cubs convention. Okay, so they're broadcasting that on Marquee. That's never been done before. I talked to the new.
Why would I go?
Yeah, nobody's gonna go now.
It's sweaty and everything. You gotta like.
You don't like going anyway.
Get
So
trampled.
you wouldn't go either way. What are
All
you
you do
talking
is
about?
get trampled by Crawley. Like it's the
you don't like
entire
going?
thing is just getting run over by Crawley, who's just drunk, like double fisting beers, trailing a cooler and a Lou Malnati's behind him, and just like you're covered in sauce. It's just terrible.
That sounds like the perfect weekend to me.
Exactly. I'll see you at the bar later.
Just, I can see him just pushing kids out of the way, like I gotta get Pete Crow Armstrong's autograph.
Look out! Yeah, I get some Zach Campbell in me. No, but it's Cubs convention is great. You know, it's totally different from being there in person. But like, there are people that totally don't dig that vibe. Like my dad would never. You couldn't pay my dad to go to that. He loves the Cubs. He'd watch it on TV easily, no problem. But you have to give them something to watch. You have to give them the whole concept of Cubs convention, going way back to John McDonough, was to get people excited about the season. The only way you're going to do that is by attracting some higher, no pun intended, marquee talent.
It'll be really great when they announce the Jacob deGrom signing.
They got to do something, you know.
I was just going to say, when was the last time they announced anything big at CubsCon?
It's not about, yeah, they did Kerry Wood and Jeff Samardzija was a big one back in the day, but it's really the announcements. They don't make announcements around it, but if all of a sudden you're coming in, and trust me, I remember walking in 2015, 2016 CubsCon, and they had been signing a bunch of players and seeing those guys. That gets you way jacked up to get to the convention.
Yeah.
So don't make signings at there. But if all of a sudden, for the first time, if it is a DeGrom or if it is a Correa or if it is a Rodon, if you just roll out the same guys you had last season, you're not going to have that much interest. You just aren't.
And Nick Madrigal, the head of ceremonies, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Where the hell's my Nick Madrigal bobblehead? How the hell does he have a bobblehead and Ian Happ
Well, I
doesn't?
have one, yeah.
I got a funny story about Nick Madrigal bobblehead. I tried to give one away at the last Bleacher Bum Band show through the raffle. And so somebody wins it. I'm like, congratulations, here's your bobblehead, da-da-da. They took it back to their seat, and then at the end of the night, we're cleaning up, and I'm like, hey, so they left their Nick Madrigal bobblehead. And Bleacher Jeff's like, no, they didn't want it. They gave it back. And I was like, so they only won a prize and gave it back to me. I'm like, yeah, we feel the same way about Nick Madrigal too. But Captain Cubbo, I saw you a lot in the bleachers this year, just like getting on, you saw a lot of games. What, you get to about 20 of them, 25?
Nah, it was more than that.
Okay. So like you've been there a bunch of years. You grew up right across the street from Wrigley Field. So you've seen a lot of change over the years. As far as like the vibe this year in the bleachers, what'd you see? Like different than usual, or?
Well, obviously we know that there's a younger crowd in there. That's for sure. And,
or we're just all older.
I like to stay up and away because, as you know, that plastic cup, those cell phones are just such a distraction that you can't even watch the ball game.
Yeah, well, that's why you bought this amazing. I'm gonna pick it up. Hold on, it dropped on the floor. It's this incredible. I got to show everybody this because this is why I bought Captain Cubbo on. Because I wanted to thank him so much for this amazing gift. This is a beer snake chopper, and as you can see, I can wear it on my hand here, and chop the snake, which I did. It was pretty effective too. Although I learned a thing or two. I got to go I can't warn them because they were suspecting it, so they held the cups tight, so I couldn't chop through.
Sneaky.
Yeah, so you just got to sneak attack with it. But this is
I think the up chop is better anyway because then the cups blow that
fly
way.
in the air. It makes it for better. The ushers hated it though, and I had to really explain why I shouldn't get kicked out. But and I didn't. So, but
I'm just happy that we have a chop at Wrigley that is not culturally insensitive.
If we can get it in again, because this is the brilliant part of this entire plan, is Captain Cubbo made an envelope sign, which he taped 2 poster boards together, one that with a message from Captain Cubbo on one side and the one from the Ranters on the other side. And what it is, it's an envelope by which we can sneak in the illicit beer snake chopper because this can't get past the gates. So they're looking at me in the 7th, 8th inning being like, oh, well, how'd you get that thing in? I was like, oh, don't you worry about it. Don't you worry
I
about
just
my
put my
envelope
hand in my
sign.
pocket and they didn't see it.
I think that's what Cub fans are missing, Danny. You can keep getting more props. I know Roberto's very handy. He can make you more props. We don't have like a carrot top type character at Wrigley Field. You can fill that void with all sorts of just crazy props.
Prop comedy.
Tune in for the 2023 season to see if Danny Rocket is allowed back into Wrigley Field.
Well, I found out from one of the red shirts that, that X-ray thing that they put you through over in the corners, that's got facial recognition on it. So like that, at some point, if you get
you should wear your mask.
Exactly.
At least
So
until you get into the ballpark.
Yeah, exactly. I thought of that. I'm like, well, guess I'm wearing a mask to Wrigley from now on, so they don't know it's me.
Do you know, believe it or not, when I wear my mask, and you guys know the mask I wear, the ushers would always tell me to flip it up. And I would say, like, why? Because we need facial recognition. I said, why don't you look at my body? Give you recognition who I am. What does my face have to do with it being covered with a mask?
Now I'm getting
Joe in an awesome superhero Cubs costume, and they're like, we may not be able to find you.
We can't pick you up from the other 20 that are doing it, we guess.
I'm the only one who does it.
I'm getting nervous that Jed may put me on the ban list for next year.
To put us in full Brady Bunch, to put us in full Brady Bunch mode, I'm going to bring another man who should never wear a mask. That's my tie guy.
Marsha.
So now we're fully. That makes me who. So if we go left to right,
We're not doing this because it makes me like, what's her name? And I can't remember her name.
Alice.
Yeah.
You're Alice. Well, I can move you around if you don't want to be Alice.
No,
Here,
no,
I can make
no.
Michael Alice.
Yes. Yes. Sam is bringing me the meat.
Yeah. We
Isn't this more like the old tic-tac-toe game, though?
Yeah.
Hollywood Squares.
Hollywood
Exactly.
Ooh, I am the center square.
Does this make me Bruce Valanche?
Absolutely, it does. In more ways than you know.
Thank God.
I think Michael then becomes Gilbert Godfrey.
I can't do a Gilbert Godfrey voice. Boy,
Gilbert Godfrey.
I want
There
to
you
be
go.
called.
that was actually pretty good. And here's the thing: there's too many people on the screen. I don't even know who said it.
It's Billy.
It was Bruce Valanche.
I want to welcome my tie guy to the show.
Billy.
My tie, here you are this summer, stealing baseballs from small children. One of the greatest photographs. You gave, this is my friend Tatsuya and his daughter, and they were there at their first game, and you did not disappoint. They brought that back to Japan with them, and it's just a cherished memory. Every memory with you is a cherished memory. But I got something to show everybody. Here's my tie guy on opening day with his first.
Aww.
That's your first bleacher drinking bracelet that they gave you, over 21 bracelet. Okay, now that's opening day. That's one. Now here you are somewhere in the middle of the season, and you got a fair amount. What is that?
That's about the day I met him.
13, 14. I put up there. Now here's the question I have for you: are you still wearing your bracelets, or have they been cut off?
We're going to be cutting them off tonight at Murphy's. I think we're going to swing over for a couple of drinks right here. You can see them behind me. I got the ballpark right here. So we decided to come out, see if we can catch any players coming home. Maybe catch a couple autographs and a couple shots of Malort if we can.
Oh, that's beautiful. So live from Wrigley Field. You didn't even tell me you're doing that. That's awesome.
Right.
So tell me how the season was for you. Like as Roberto said, it was a little bit younger crowd, a lot of cup snakes rolling around. I'm doing you'll see it at the end of the show. I'm going to put a cup snake video out there that I made with a lot of the pictures that I took from this year. We're out there chopping them. How was it out there in the bleachers for you?
Good. Well, first off, hi to everybody. I'm looking forward to the video, so can't wait for that. But yeah, I mean, bleachers, a little bit of a lighter crowd. That's about it. It always starts strong, the optimism in the beginning of the year. But then it wanes, obviously, when we start trading players away, and you don't know what you're getting back until years down the road.
Yeah. And then I got to show this picture of me and Billy DeVore out there in the bleachers. Just even Reds fans can almost become Cub fans out there, and I personally had a really good time out there this year. It's just like it seemed a little bit more like the old bleachers. It felt a little bit more lawless than it used to be. Granted, there was some pretty incredible fights, including one that Crawley went viral with. How many views are you up to with that one?
I stopped looking, man. I muted all that stuff.
Yeah, sadly, it feels more lawless because the Ricketts, like, they fired a whole bunch of the security staff.
Yeah, well, we're playing shorthanded this year. I'm going to play this fight, at least the end of it, when there he is coming down, slow motion, boom, just hit it hard.
Danny, you got to play this one in reverse.
I will. Here it is.
Really good.
Here it is. always better backwards with a slide whistle, just every time.
I never thought I would be on TMZ. That wasn't on my bucket list, but somehow TMZ Sports. There I was.
Well, I was
working your way up.
Yeah, just be glad you got in on that way, because there's other reasons you could have been on. So,
man, that's cool. You had fights in your bleachers because we have to have people in our bleachers for that to happen.
Right.
Well, maybe it's because you're scaring them away with your sky roses. This is what is taking place out in Cincinnati right now. They're putting hot dogs covered in chili on pizza slices.
Now, I would like to say they're doing this wrong. The form is terrible. You need to have the cheese coney upside down and perpendicular with the slice and fold it like a taco. Don't give me that look. It's delicious.
So
you can move your hands because you got to eat one. It's really good.
So I'm glad we get this juxtaposition.
So terrible.
It does look. Yeah, we're gonna eat one.
I don't even recognize Skyline chili as food.
I still see things like that, and I'm like, I remember the first time I was high.
Danny keeps trying to defend Skyline chili.
I kind of like it. Yeah.
Danny keeps trying to explain it. Well, it's not chili. It's more of a
meat sauce. It's a Greek meat sauce.
Exactly.
I really like that there's cinnamon in it.
Yeah, I like it.
He's really into the
I'm
cinnamon.
from New Mexico.
So yeah, your chili's even different than that. You got the green chili.
Yeah.
Bringing up that fight, I had a lot of my friends commenting me and asking me, "Hey, Captain, where were you at that fight? Why couldn't you help break it up?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, but I was on a rooftop and I was in no position to fly over." So
that would have been incredible. You should actually be mostly on the rooftop, and they should have you hooked to one of those, Peter Pan
fucking zip line.
Zip line you over every time. Go,
Dude,
and then your
whenever there's a home run,
it's like the
he zip lines over.
Down. Yeah, and then
It'd be like the Bernie Brewer slide or whatever, but with Captain Cubbo flying over Waveland.
From the upper deck, from one of the rooftops across the street to like a really triumphant version of Go Cubs Go.
I don't think the Ricketts want the legalities with that. You saw what happened to that reporter with Bernie Brewer slide that decided to try it out and ended up like shattering their legs.
We need to build you a spotlight to put into the sky.
So
light, yeah.
So yeah, what's the Captain Cubbo spotlight look like?
Just like a hand.
I'm holding a pizza.
I like it. Holding the pizza.
It's just a triangle. Oh, that's a pizza slice. Captain Cubbo's on his way.
So we all talked about like kind of what our hopes are for next year and everything. So I just kind of wanted, I know they haven't made any moves yet. We have no idea. The season just ended today, but give me your preliminary record for next year. I want it from everybody. Carl, you could start.
Oh, wait a sec. You never bring up the records from the previous year. I want to see who was most accurate as far as last season.
Oh, yeah. Well,
what do you got?
Well, here's the thing is like Michael told me that like I would ask the question and never let anybody answer. So like,
yeah, that was kind of it. The only person that chose the Cubs first was Dom. Nobody else went that deep. I want to know. Here's the one that the only one I couldn't find the answer to is Crawley on Marquee over under 3.5 times.
Oh, well,
I'm thinking, was it under? But it might have been over.
Well, they play the game show of you a lot, so that
MVP.
So that counts each time.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, so it's over.
It's over.
Yep.
Yeah, starting pitchers 11.5 over under, and it was actually 11, I believe.
Wow.
So
Well,
under.
I mean, not really. It was 16, 17.
Starting pitchers?
Yeah, well, because a lot of them, some of them were openers. Like Scott Efros started.
I'm not fucking
Sean Newcomb.
I'm not putting
Alec
openers
Mills
in there. Come on,
Alec
man.
Mills, Luke Farrell. You know, they started it.
I mean,
started
they
the
have a
game.
career start.
Yeah. So 17.
Yeah.
Over.
You and your fucking like new age stats.
Sorry.
It's not a start. It's not a start. If nobody expects you to go past
it is
fucking
literally
second
throwing
inning,
the
it's not a
first pitch
start.
of the game.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
a start. Yeah.
It's literally
then-
a start.
I saw a little
Newfangled
girl.
idea
I
of
saw a
being
little girl
start.
throw a ball to Clark. Apparently, she has a start now.
Oh, that's
First pitch of the game.
Yeah,
Was there a live batter in front of her?
So
I'm going to go with 85 wins for the 2023 Cubs. 85 wins.
all right.
The
Sarah,
only-
I'm gonna throw it up to you.
You know,
So-
Kilgallen was only 3 wins off. He was the only one that actually came in with numbers of wins. He went Brewers 85, Cards 82, Cubs 77 wins.
All right, so not too far off, but he was the only one that even gave numbers. Sarah, what do you think?
I'm going to say the same thing I've probably said on one of your roundtables before, because I've been saying it for like the last 3 seasons. This is a 70-win team or a 90-win team. It is nothing in between because Jed will sell everything that is not nailed down if it looks like they're closer to an 85, 86-win team than to a 90-plus win team. And so it's the team wins 90 games or more, or they win fewer than 80 games, and probably I'm going to go 72.
My tie, what do you got?
I'm thinking they spent some money. I think this is the time. They're seeing some of their players come along. They're winning some awards. I think they spent some money. Give me 88.
IFG.
94.
Whoa.
94! What
Magical
the
season.
2015.
It'll be
like
fun.
Alex, how about you?
86.
All right, a little conservative, but one ahead of Crawley. Cubbo, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with the year I graduated, 82.
82.
Oh, see,
Dial it back.
Cubbo, I got you there. I'm with you. Ocho Dos, right there.
Yeah, so you're right there with Ocho Dos. Billy DeVore. How many wins for the Cubs and how many wins for the Reds?
Cubs are going to have 73 wins, and the Reds are going to have a nice record.
Ooh.
It's 69. baby.
Nice.
Are you
Yeah.
saying the Cubs are going to be 1 game worse than they were this year?
Who knows?
Man,
He's a Reds fan. What does he
Killing
know?
us.
Well, I don't know anything. Oh,
Alex, you gave us yours?
Yeah, 86.
86.
86.
That's right. I guess I haven't given mine. I'm more and with Sarah's thought of things, but I do agree that they're going to spend a bunch of money this year. I do. I think that, and I think that it might be closer to the 90s. So I'll just stick in there about the year I graduated high school, 92.
Whoa.
Oh my God, you guys! Yeah,
I would
I'm
happily take 92.
Count the rings.
See, I'm thinking that 82, and somehow it's going to get them into the postseason tournament.
It will. That could be third wild
and
card.
then the Ricketts will never spend again. It'll
You know, there's somebody in the Cubs front office.
They're going for the 82 every year.
There's somebody in the Cubs front office whose job it probably is to figure out exactly how few wins they need and how little money they can spend on that few number of wins to be close to the playoffs. That person's job is to actually, the number this year is going to be 84 and we'll come in 10th in payroll. That's like somebody's literal spreadsheet that they work on all the time. It's their whole job.
And if they nail it, they get like $1 million bonus.
They get a belt,
right.
like the belt
Yeah.
that they had for the people who came out best in arbitration at MLB.
Well, I'm looking at it here, and of course, you got your wild card team as Philadelphia at 87 wins. That's what it took this year. San Diego blew up their farm system to get that second wild card spot. at 89, and then you have the Dodgers with just ridiculous amount of 111 wins. And so, I mean, I'll put up the brackets here, and this is my last questions for everybody. I know Sarah's answers already. The Blue Jays, that's who you're pulling for.
I would like a Blue Jays Phillies World Series. I think there would be a lot of home runs, and it would be very fun. And the defense might be terrible, but it would be so fun to watch.
IFG, who's your World Series out of this?
Seattle, San Diego would be absolutely delightful.
Huh, that would be interesting.
It would be the latest World Series on record.
No, well, it wouldn't be, because they'd make them play it at some weird time, and nobody would be able to score because there'd be like half shadows on the field because they'd have to play at 4:00 so East Coast could watch, where all the people live. Actually, California is the highest populated state. Never mind. Well, but you know what I mean, up and down the East Coast. How about I'm going to come out and say I'm feeling. I'm going to go. It's going to be St. Louis versus the Yankees, and we're all going to be so sad about it. You know,
Danny, you suck.
That would
I know.
be miserable.
Why did you do that to any of us? Literally, nobody wants that.
You know what, though? It would be nice if it was St. Louis and New York and it had the lowest rating ever.
Yeah,
It would not be nice. There would be nothing nice about that.
Matt,
How about Anthony Rizzo wins it against the Cardinals? Anthony
There you go.
Rizzo
I
dropped
would
the
have to
game-winning
why
run.
the Yankees win. That's no.
I'm gonna go with-
Like,
I'm
why
gonna go
have
with-
that when you could have Gino Suarez and Manny Machado on the field at the same time?
I've got Vladito and Kyle Schwarber in my finals.
I'll
So
take that
I
too.
think this is, a solid play.
I'll go Cleveland and Phillies.
All right, and Cleveland breaks the drought.
I want Cleveland to break the drought, and I want Schwarber to win another one. And
Yeah,
Castellanos.
Someone else
Phillies are
jump in. I
terrible.
forget where we are and who's been saying.
I haven't chosen.
Nikki's still not playing, is he?
Nah, he was the other day. He was
Yeah, he was the
playing.
other day. He came in as a batted only though.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day, Danny. I have a little bit of a soft spot there for Cleveland. They changed their name, and then they can win. And then hopefully, and they've had the longest active drought, unless you count the Mariners who've never done it. And then on the National League side, I'm saying Dodgers, because fuck everybody else. The Dodgers seem to know how to do it. They spend some fucking money all the time. And I want these owners to see that's how you do it. That's how you do it like the Dodgers. You don't do it like Tampa Bay or even Cleveland.
Well, Tampa
with their $30 million
Tampa
payroll.
Bay versus Cleveland. That's like $60 million on the field right there.
I know that's if you play that series 3 times, that's LA's like whole payroll there.
What you got, my tie?
I'm thinking Yankees and Braves.
All right, so kind of like a big powerhouse situation. Braves there last year.
Like the pitching on both sides.
Who I got? Roberto.
Believe it or not, maybe just see 2 teams that just couldn't make it, and that would have been probably Toronto and Philly.
Yep. So there's the same as Sarah and Billy.
The Tampa Bay Cleveland matchup is just federal minimum wage.
That's the matchup in the Save the America's Pastime thing.
Yeah, I want Cleveland to do it, and I want San Diego to do it, but realistically, it's going to be Houston and Atlanta, and Houston's going to do it in 6. They're so deep. They're so nasty.
Well, we got people in the chat here. We got Corey Furlong saying L.A. Houston redemption time. I think he wants that championship belt.
That's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be LA Houston.
Terry E says go Phils. Angel Moreno is L.A. versus New York.
That's a classic 80s matchup right there. Get Fernando
Yep, and then-
Valenzuela back.
And then Bernie Barron has Astros and Braves.
Are we digging up Tommy Lasorda?
Yeah.
The best part of those Braves games is going to be watching William Contreras hit home runs, and then they play Narco, and the Mets fan base all freaks out because they think they own Narco because Edwin Diaz walks out to it. It's honestly one of my favorite subtweets of the entire postseason, and every time William Contreras makes the Mets listen to Narco, I consider that a win.
Didn't Jock Peterson walk up to Narco a few times last year as a Cub? Am I remembering
Lots
that
of
correctly?
people do it. The Mets don't own anything. Like they're just
I
like the
agree.
whiniest. This is why I cannot cheer for the Mets. The Mets are the whiniest fan base. And every time I think, oh, they spent money. They have some players I like. Francisco Lindor is cool. Pete Alonso seems like a cool guy who hits bombs. And then they do something whiny, and I'm like, nope, can't cheer for the Mets.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it's hard to cheer for any team ultimately in the National League. I think because we Cubs face them so much, and so it just makes it like.
And even more next year.
Yeah, well, next year we face
More,
everybody.
yes, next year, garbage.
So,
Hey,
well,
real quick, I know that you were talking before about the fan base and everything else, but you know what? We're gonna get some people coming back because don't forget, off betting over there getting built. Right? It should be done by next summer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bring people down.
There's going to be DraftKings over there so that I can play fantasy football while I don't watch the baseball game that I'm at.
I can see it now. I can see it now. It'll be hologram Harry cutting the red ribbon out there in front, and
that would be fucked up.
Like to me, like this was the most fucked up part of the whole year. Just hologram Harry. That was just a snippet for the podcast.
Dude, all I can tell you is that being there was the most bizarre thing. I didn't know if I had too much to drink. I didn't know if it was a Muppet behind there, and then I saw this weird blobby thing on the screen. It was messed up, dude. Like when you were there.
Just hire Will Ferrell.
I was gonna say, why can't you just let Pat Hughes do everything? Shout out to Pat Hughes, Ford Frick Award nominee again.
Yeah.
Let Pat Hughes do all the things. Pat Hughes.
Oh
is
my
the
God,
treasure.
he better fucking win this year.
So, well, I want to thank everybody for coming on. The one guy who couldn't come on, he sends his regrets, is Joe Kilgallen. He's got a show tonight. He's actually on he's on the stage as we speak. So, but I did want to play I'm going to say goodbye to all you guys. I'm going to play a brief comedy bit that Joe Kilgallen put on his podcast that I just uploaded.
All right, everybody, let's hear him.
And then I'm going to say goodbye to everybody, and then but we have to.
We have to chance for a chance.
Well, no, because I never did it. I never did our contest. I never set it up, but I could really quick if you really want me to.
Poor
Chop that snake.
Chop that snake.
Wait, did you just forget little Everett Yumper?
Yes, that was his goddamn name. I've been drinking a lot.
Yeah, well, hashtag chance in the chat.
I have not.
Hashtag chance in the chat right now, and we're going to give away something, a postcard sent to you by me, and I'm gonna just share my screen real quick. And where is it? Right here. All right, here we go. I'm drawing it. Get your votes in there. Hashtag chance. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom.
I even see there it is. There's Everett. He's there. He's taunting Michael Cotton.
He's 1/3 of those names are Everett Yoakum.
Anthony
Hutfuls.
Congratulations, you won a Chance postcard, Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me with a message of love and doom. So that's the end of the show. Thank you for everybody. Sarah, IFG, Alex, Michael Cotton, Crawley, Roberto, Billy, My Tie Guy. We had
Annette.
Cody Del Mendo on the show from Chugga. We had Dom on the show, director of morale. We had and we started out the show with Stuart McVicker and John Benedict. I'm Danny Rocket, and just hey, have a happy off season, everybody. The Sun Ranto show isn't going anywhere. We'll be going down to once a week. We'll be looking at some of these playoff games and looking at and hoping for a very fun off season. December 17th, Cubs caroling, and here's Joe Kilgallen. Peace and spagog, y'all.
Spagog.
No, I'm okay with the Cubs in general doing Take Me Out to the Ball Game where it's a video of Harry Carey. That's cool. Now they want to do this hologram technology. I have yet to hear anyone say, dude, this hologram technology, pretty sweet, not weird at all. Doesn't make you think that we're all going to be replaced one day by robots. No, it's always weird looking. It's never the person. It looked like Harry Carey if he had never had one Budweiser in his life. That's what it looked like. He looked very slim. The suit he was wearing didn't have a single damn wrinkle, which is bullshit because Harry Carey's suit, he always wore a suit jacket that looked like someone had fun on Rush Street last night. That's the Harry Carey I know and love. I don't want to see this weird mechanical, looks like if Harry Carey was a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic guy, that's what it would have been. And frightening. I'm glad my sons didn't see it. They're very little. If they would have saw that and then we're walking by Wrigley and they see his statue, they might put 2 and 2 together. And now I've got 2 kids sleeping in my bed for a week because they have nightmares. So no, thank you, Fox.
The train from Barrington to get drunk and have some fun in the bleachers. Fireballs at Cubby Bear with his friends, he doesn't care if he's late. He boos and screams and cheers and he pounds a dozen beers in the bleachers. But the highlight of his day was when he made a cup snake. They piled it high and piled it higher. Left field sucks came from the choir. They stacked those cups for 27 rows. How beautifully built those cups were. Philomene red shirted usher. Symphony, I think it's time to go. Chases Jägermeister with the Mai Tai. And the best part of the game was stacking cups up in the night. He's a cup snake guy. Well, he came to see the Cubs, but instead he's stacking cups in the bleachers. He was too drunk by the 4th to care about the score of the game. Now he's reaching for the sky, heaping cups up super high in the bleachers. Worth $100.